Hi, folks. It's the Arsenal Fan Circle. It's the Thursday night forum, and welcome. Pull up a chair. Everybody's welcome to the circle here. And I hope there's probably a few people still elated over in the UK right now. Still lapping up this victory. We'll get into it. Was it a dramatic victory or was it a close shave? Uh,
Close
Tony,
heart attack is what it was.
Tony, thanks for joining. What's that, Tony?
I said it was a close heart attack.
Yeah, I mean, well, we all know we've got hearts underneath that chest right now, Gary, right?
Oh yes, I am posted a Sanford and Son meme with Elizabeth, and we were coming to see her today. Every time, multiple times in this game, we were coming to see her, and we got lucky. We got lucky, and we did some work today as well. So
Yeah, we'll get into it. Want to welcome a debut on the channel for Gunner Souls. Thanks for coming on, Gunner Souls.
Well, thank you very much for having me. It's an absolute pleasure. I know we've been talking for a while on when I'm going to make my debut on the channel. Gary thinks I'm just following him around, which isn't true. He's following me around more like. But...
And listen, go and support Gunner Souls over there. He's got a YouTube channel as well. Shout your YouTube channel out, Gunner Souls.
Yeah, it's literally both on Twitter and YouTube. It's both Gunner Souls, and you'll be able to find me. I have rebranded, so some people may come as shocked to what the logo looks like now.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's Leicester Bay Footy or Gunner Souls. You'll find me on both.
And Gary has his own YouTube channel as well, DWTT. Check that out. Let's give a quick preview of your 5 today, Gary.
Yeah, so coming into the game, I was looking at the following for my 5: Aubameyang, Erdegar, Saka, Bellerin, and Tierney. So Aubameyang because I wanted to see him redeem himself. Erdegar because I need, at some point I feel like it's either him or Milsworth Rowe. So I wanted to see how he was going to do, and you saw it, so Saka, of course, because I thought he was going to be tired. I thought he was going to be tired, and I think I heard on it was Albert from Albert JTV. He actually mentioned, Saka looked like he was, not as energetic as he had seen in the past, and I thought about that for a second, and if that's the case, and if anybody else saw that, then maybe he's that's what senior players do when they come in and they have to work overtime, right? They don't they don't lose form just because they're out there tired. They kind of still are able to execute, and he did that. And then Bellerin, just because I wanted to see how if Tierney's in, I wanted to make sure we were going to have equal performances on both sides. And then Tierney, of course, because he's coming back and this is his first full game in this kind of a situation, where we need him. And so that's my 5, and I'll get into it a little bit more. That probably won't come out until tomorrow, just because it is late now, and it's been a busy day at work as well. So I watched the game, then I went back to work, and then I've starting up here. So
the 5 that you picked, Gary, will have lots of highlights. Tierney, Aubameyang, and Saka being chief among those. I think you saw briefly there. Stan is going to join us soon. I want to call out Tony as well. We're going to promo. Tony does need a prosthetic leg, so if any gooners out there, spread the message. If you're watching this, if you're hearing the beats that we're putting out there, spread the message for Tony's GoFundMe page. Share the link and donate. He does need. Tony, are we doing puns tonight?
You said we were. You had them loaded up.
I got a few.
You got a leg
that's
up.
right. You did say you got a load of them, so I'm hoping you do, because I didn't bring any today. Or
yeah, I've
Ray's
got a few puns.
on him.
And disclaimer: Tony has said that I could use puns. He does need a prosthetic leg, so there's going to be lots of puns thrown in here, and I'm wondering the level where I can go to. So, well, listen, it's all in good fun, and it's testament to Tony and his spirit as well. Did have a leg amputated over Christmas time, so please, please, please. We're at about 10 or 15% of the goal right now. Check out his GoFundMe page. I will leave the link. I will leave the link down below, and yeah, please check it out. Or if Gary, if you can put it in the comment section, that would be much, much appreciated. Yeah, so there's going to be lots of puns about second legs, Tony. So that's one thing. Arsenal had the second leg tonight.
Pepe doesn't have a second leg.
That's the one thing you don't have right now. We need to get you that second leg. So,
Pepe,
Tony's ties are all one-legged affairs right now. So.
Yeah, I mean, Santa was a little late. You know, he did things a little bit backwards, right? I'm supposed to give him a leg to get,
Yeah.
and then he's taking everything from us, right? We give presents to everyone, and then Santa took your leg. I mean, I don't get it.
Yeah, so I have to walk the line here, Gary, about tastefulness and what people will think in the comments. But
I hear you.
Tony is good for it. He's good sport. So listen, let's start off with the go to Gunnar Souls. Your initial thoughts on tonight's game? 3-2. We got to be pumped anyway. This is what football is all about, Souls. I mean, Arsenal will give you entertainment value as well.
It doesn't have to be pretty, but a win's a win. So that's the way I look at it. And I mean, even on Twitter, there are people who are like, "Oh, it's been a poor performance. How are we celebrating this?" Look, we've been through the downest of downs, man. When we've got these moments like today where it took up until the 87th minute for us to finally scream. And like I've got noise complaints against me now because I was awful. It's because firstly, Aubameyang hasn't been to the level he's been at, and I'm one of the very few who has been saying give the man time because he will step up. And today, Captain Fantastic, the one man that I've always said, what, give the man time, and I call him my brother, is Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang, did step up, right positions, right time, and that's exactly what we know him to be. And when you think about it as well, Bakayoko Saka again, he is the one that's coming to the rescue, always, because they were two absolute peacher of balls that, all Aubameyang need to do was just direct them into the box and direct them forwards. And then you've got the future captain. And the reason why I say the future captain is because I don't think it's right for morale. I don't think it's right for the team. Harmony if we just strip Aubameyang mid-season of the captaincy and give it to Tierney. But I do think Kieran Tierney is definitely hands down our future captain. And today, do you know what? The one thing we asked for all season, show us some fight, show us the passion, show us that you care. And today, that's what they did. Because let's be honest, like me and Gary were on a watch along. Even me being as positive as I've been this season, I gave up and I felt deflated. But they didn't. And that's exactly what we want to see. Because they gave us everything we asked for. And that's why we've got to be proud of them. We've got to just stand up and applaud them.
Yeah, and you're hitting the nail right on the head there, Souls. I've titled this podcast "The Tale of Two Captains." We have a captain right now, Aubameyang, who's come back, and Kieran Tierney, future captain, Gary.
Yeah, I mean, when I saw your title, I was like, "Is that where you're going? You going there? You ready to take it away from Aubameyang?" I mean, I personally we've said it before. We've got two players out there, both in leadership roles. One with the armband, and one basically with the heart, right? And that's what we saw today. Aubameyang shows it with his feet, right? He showed it today with his feet and his head. Tierney just shows it all. He brings as much as he can every day, and we knew he wasn't going to be back 100%, but we knew we were going to get 100% effort from him, and that's what we got. I mean, we saw it. The team needed something. It was 20 minutes into the game. You're just sitting there going, when are we going to do something on this, in this game? And we got that goal. And then later on, when we needed something else, he showed up and got the goal to tie it up. I think, So I was wondering where you're going to go with that, but yeah, I mean, I'll take it. I mean, I'll take it from what I
Yeah,
saw today.
we had the captain on the field right now, Aubameyang,
Yeah.
and the future captain of Tierney, and it may happen sometime soon in the next year or 2 years. But I think Arteta definitely believes in that as well. The assembled here. I'm going to get to a question here. Can we have the positive aspects of the win, please?
Yeah.
I can't take a whole lot of positives, but we're in the next round. We're in the hat.
No, there's a lot.
Aubameyang has
There's a lot of
scored.
positives in this game.
Oh, mate,
now.
I can scream and shout all the positives if you want.
Yeah.
If you want a positive, I come to me.
No,
All of them.
there's definitely positive. Think about this. Think about this. We needed to come out. We needed to score first. We did that. We needed to show that, you know what, we got fight. We didn't show we could close out a half, so that was the
Yep.
one part. We did close out, but we closed out the second half. So you know what? If you're gonna close out a half, you might as well close out the second half because that they can have no recourse for that, and they weren't able to get it back. So we showed a little bit. There's ups and downs, and that's the team's been giving us a lot of downs and then a little blip up. Today they gave us a lot of ups and downs throughout that game. I mean, we could have been up 2 goals. You could have won this thing 4-2, right? Bamiyang, ups and downs, scores 2 goals, downs, offsides a little too many times. We were sitting there talking about it. He just will not come back clearly onside and then attack. And that if that's a negative, I'm sorry, assembled. But he gave us the 2 goals. But like I said, it was a game of up. It was not only a tale of two captains, but just a tale of a lot of ups and downs. We had a lot of ups and downs today, and the team showed that they got the fight, and and that's Tierney out there probably, right? That's the leadership that we want, and that's what we saw today. So definitely enjoyed that. So yeah, there's a lot of positives. Hopefully that we can build on. That's kind of been my mantra this whole time. Is that we're going to take what we did today, do a little bit better the next day, right? The next game. This week we're going to need it. We're going to be tired. I think Leicester's going to be pissed off. We don't care. We need to,
Yeah.
I think they're going to be upset. But you know what? It shouldn't matter. Now we've got a couple of days until I guess a couple of weeks, right, until we play a midweek game again. So hopefully they don't leave it. They don't save anything for later. We just need to take it to them, get something. And now he wants
All
the
right.
negatives.
I know,
Yeah,
but before we get onto that, what I do want to add also is the amount of titles we can give this show: the tales of 2 teams, the tales of 2 seasons, the tale of 2 mentalities. Because what we seen last season against Olympiacos was a team that absolutely dropped their heads. And this season, they made a blunder of a mistake. Dani Ceballos gifted that second goal to them. But guess what? The team riled up and they absolutely fought with every single ounce that they had. And they put it all out on the pitch. And that's what we've got to be proud of. We've got to take the positives because there's not many this season. And this is one of them.
Yeah. Want to welcome Stan to the podcast. Stan the man. Thanks for joining, Stan.
Yeah.
All right, lads. Had some connectivity issues with a really old computer, so sorry for my late arrival.
Yeah.
No problem.
Stan, you look like you've only seen the first half of the game. Or should I say the last 5 minutes of the first half?
All right. Let me. I haven't got to Tony yet. So, Tony, give me your thoughts on the second leg of the Europa League.
Can I only do the first leg?
Dad, just to bring you up to speed, this is going to be a fun-filled show as well because we're trying to raise awareness here for his peg leg that he needs. He wants to be a pirate. So.
My last goal. Anyway, we started off kind of sloppy the first 20 minutes. Then we get a goal. Then we give away 2 goals. Then we come back and get 2 more, and we win. We're still in Europe.
You forgot the highlight for you.
We're still in Europe.
The highlight for you was Callum Chambers coming on. He finally got on the field.
I know, I was jumping up and down for 10 minutes after he came on. Or hopping around for 10 minutes.
Hopping around on one leg. So, yeah. All right, Stan. This was a character game, right? coming back in the last half hour, getting the 2 goals we needed. We've all checked our hearts; they're working. So,
Yeah, I thought the parts of that first half. I mean, I was like nodding off on the sofa. You know, I was watching it a little bit late on a replay in the afternoon, and I was a little bit. It was a little bit of a snooze fest for me at times in that first half. But what I would say is that at the end of the day, we are through now to the next round. You know, we got done what we needed to get done. And I don't know how much you've discussed, you know, but for me, you know, the only negative for me would be that, you know, I've always felt that Danny Sabas I've always been a bit lukewarm on him as a player from the very beginning, to be honest. I've always felt that he's been inconsistent, not consistent enough, because I have seen him have some good games in an Arsenal shirt. He just doesn't seem to do it consistently. And, you know, he almost, you know, let us down today. But then on a positive, Kieran Tierney, you know, I mean, just his reaction after he scored that goal, you know, the way when he was jogging off, that was just, for me, that was just captain, you know, written all over him for me.
Yeah.
You know, I see that the headline is a tale of two captains. I don't know how much you've covered, but I'm glad he's back.
We just scratched the surface, Dan.
Okay, so I'm just glad that we have managed to get through to the next round. You know, so we go again.
Yeah. So do I get to say the negatives?
Yeah. Gary, I thought you would come with the negatives tonight.
You know what? I wanted to, but I was like, you know what? There are a lot of good things that happened. We wanted the win. We didn't know how we were going to get it. We assumed we would just take it. We just take it from them, and we didn't do that. So, you know, we did fight back and get it, but we didn't take it away from them. It shouldn't have even been this close. We all know that.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess the one negative is that it took basically almost 2 games for us to get a win. I mean, that should have never been the case. We're not that bad, and they got really lucky. I mean, we gifted basically 3 goals to them.
They're not that good. They're not that good, and we're not that bad.
Essentially 3 goals. We basically set them up 3 times, right? They didn't do anything to deserve any of the goals. I don't think.
Two
Okay, maybe the handball was us, right? Is that what you're thinking?
The free kick is just, you got to put your hands up in the air
I'm
and
not going to
say,
take that away from them, but maybe 2. But you know what? The free kick comes, I think, prior to Ceballos' foul. So somewhere in there, because there's always something. Who knows what that was? But that foul, and then I can blame it on Erdiger, because he didn't jump up. That ball went right over his head as he crunched down. So if you want to be negative, I can go negative, full blown negative.
I mean, let's be honest. It was a brilliant assist from Ceballos for them, wasn't it?
Yeah.
He was all over the place for them. He was playing for 2 teams. He did. He got 2 assists. He was just like doing everything. So that's that's one of the negatives there. That I mean, you just talked about Ceballos. Basically, he was around both 2 goals, and that was bad. I mean, I think the other negative in the game, if you want me, is our center backs, right? That center back pairing, I guess today has shown it doesn't work, and I think it's probably it's worn its time now. You want Luis to kind of be the mentor to Gabriel, and I don't think we're getting that anymore. Gabriel looks really timid out there, scared, and then I think Luis is not helping. He's got to be able to calm him down, right? Because he's the better athlete, and he's the more, when you're the more senior player, you got to help out your teammate, and I don't think he did that today. So I don't know, what that means for Gabriel, because I think Marie Holding and Luis can play. Gabriel needs some help, and I'm not sure who can give him the help right now. So that's a little sad right now, because I think we've seen it when Gabriel's been out there since he got that red card. Nobody, we haven't got that guy back yet. So we'll see how. So that was pretty negative. Xhaka and I want to talk about Xhaka and Bellerin, but there's not as much. I mean, Bellerin disappeared in this game, right?
Let's just say if we'd have got out of Europe, we'd talk about Xhaka and Bellerin, right?
Yeah, but Bellerin didn't. He didn't seem. When you've got Tierney on one side, Bellerin is just going to disappear unless he showed up, and he didn't. There was nothing to talk about him. Xhaka, I think, the midfield seemed to be fine, right? So I'm not going to say much negative about that. I didn't feel like I was talking about him doing anything too negative today. So as much as I wanted, I mean, I guess I had to bring him up in the negative section just because we usually do, but those two didn't bring it today. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, folks. They weren't that bad. Other than that, I think the rest of the game, we needed to somehow score. I think the first game is what kills us here. This one, we came out and did what we needed to do. We got 3 goals. We had one turned around from us, so one taken away from us. Here we go. Here's another negative. Saka, when he gets that ball, how does he not put the ball between the sticks? Right? He makes that one turn inside, and it gets in behind the defender and kicks it straight over the goal. I mean, that's his negative, right? It's just that his shooting boots aren't in yet. But when they do, I think we're going to be happy to see it. But today they just weren't. But I mean,
So Stan, another positive from today is Danny Ceballos is a stinker of a game, but the rest of the team lifts him up and takes him out of the mire that he's in, right?
Well, yeah, he got hooked, didn't he? Basically, after the second goal, near enough straight away. The old Spanish archer. So, I was glad that Mikel was kind of decisive about that and didn't let him linger on anymore. Do you know what I mean?
I mean, I thought he was coming off anyways because because they said that Partey was already there, ready to go, and just waiting. Well, that's what some of the so what I heard. So he might have been coming off anyways, and I guess he made it really easy.
Yeah, compounded it. Yeah.
Once again, did he take his eye off the? Did he just take a little break? You're coming off.
Yeah.
And then you take a little break in the middle of the game, and then you get punished for it as a team.
Norman said, remember when Olympiacos knocked us out last year in the last minute? They did that again this year, eliminating PSV in the last minutes. Olympiacos, heartbreaking hearts. Problem with our Brownies here, Stan. The problem with Arsenal is that they don't have like-for-like replacements, so some players rested. Give ammunition for the Arteta out brigade. The squad is so thin, unreal talent. So it could have gone either way today, really. The Arteta out, Ben could have really got stuck in.
I've always said it, and I think the man or whoever we want to back, we need to give time and we need to give the backing to, because let's be quite honest, right? If we're going to talk about how good the squad is, we're not really going to be praising them, are we? Because there's a lot of players in there we've already said that aren't good enough, and they're not of the standard of what Arsenal Football Club traditionally have. And then when we look at our starting 11, okay, we can say we've got a strong 11, let's say, but then when we look at the bench, who do we have? And that's part of the problem. Whoever comes in needs to be given time or resources to go and build a squad, not a team, but a full squad. And that's exactly what he's saying. Football with Brownie saying as well. And I've been echoing this all season, because let's say, for example, Xhaka is not available. Who do we bring in? We've got El Neni. Is he good enough? No. Is Danny Ceballos good enough? No. We've got Bellerin or Cedric. Are they good enough? Not really, no. And then let's say, for example, our first starting pairing is Gabriel and David Luiz. If we're bringing in Holding and Gabriel together, they're not good enough. And then we've not got a backup for Tierney. And then when we go forward as well, we've got Willian coming on for one of the attackers. And then that's the problem. Our depth isn't there.
A lot of work.
If you've got Partey coming out, that's our midfield done. And that's worrying. We've got probably, let's say, 1 or 2 in each position that are strong enough to actually feature. And then after that, we're literally looking at I don't want to swear, but we're literally looking at SHIT really in any other position.
Yeah, I feel like our front 4, we've got enough interchangeable parts there, right? I mean, you've got Lacazette, you've got Pepe. Erdiger and Emil Smith-Rowe don't have to play together. So if they had to, they could rest one of them and still. Pepe brings something a little bit different in Emil Smith-Rowe. If Pepe plays like he's been playing, you're not going to miss the energy. You're not going to miss the tracking back that Emil Smith-Rowe brings you. So I feel like the front 4, I think we're set there. Like you said, the midfield, we've got Partey and then the center backs pairing. I don't think we found one, because they all seem to work. It seems from 1 or 2 games, and lately they just have not been working at all. And like you said, Tierney is by himself. So Cedric and Bellerin, to me, are one I think they're like for like in the sense that you're gonna either gain something or you lose something with either one of them, but they're not starters for us, right? So we're missing like 3 or 4 starters depending on what kind of lineup we need. So yeah, we can get those 3 or 4 players, if they want to spend the money, right?
Yeah, and we'll see in the summer what happens. Ray Anderson, thanks for joining us. He assembled. He asked me the question to say the positives. This is what a host does. He tries to like meter out and feed the panelists here. But I'll give you the positives. We're through to the next round. Aubameyang scoring again. Kieran Tierney gave us a moment, a lot like the Kari Sanya did in the North London derby. And situations like this, when you're down and in the ground, down on the ground, and almost out, and I think all of us thought about what was going to happen in the next few days after a defeat, after we exit out of Europe, whether it be on away goals or not. Positives are there. We move on to the next round. The team that wins this trophy will have a few sticky moments. I'm not saying we're going to win this trophy. We're not going to win this competition. I'm not saying that. The team that wins this competition will have difficult moments. We had a difficult moment tonight, and we came through it. So, lots of positives to take. Willian, Arteta unlocked Willian again, right, Gary?
Yeah. You know what? I know he has to say good things about him. I know he has to, because he wants him. He doesn't want to waste those 3 years, right?
Yeah.
He's already wasted almost 1 year, so I know that's where he's thinking when he says what he says. But we can't take him serious when he says that, can we?
No, for sure. He's just trying to justify his nomination and bring in Willian. Tony, let's go to you for the positives. I thought Gary would be a little bit more negative tonight, but yeah, Gary's feeling it tonight.
And the positive is that the team showed grit in the end. Willian finally had a decent game.
That's as good as you get from Tony.
Wasn't complete shit for once. He still shouldn't be getting in the lineup at all, but Arteta has to play him for whatever reason.
So, Tony, when Arteta talks about Willian, he's got a leg to stand on, at least for tonight, in terms of supporting Willian, right?
Yeah, he's using one of Pepe's good leg.
Dan, let's get into Aubameyang. I, for one, thought that Lacazette should come in tonight. I hold my hand up and say he was the right choice in leaving Aubameyang in there. Matter of fact, for Borussia Dortmund, he played against Benfica before, had a stinker, came back and had a hat trick. So to score 2 tonight was brilliant for him.
See, the problem is, and it kind of ties into the question that the Assembles asked me. It says, Stan, do you believe Arsenal will kick on from here? And Aubameyang kind of falls into this because it's hard to predict what's going to happen now with this team because we have too many players that are inconsistent. It's not like we've got 1 or 2. We have a lot of inconsistent players, okay? Hector Bellerin is very inconsistent. It was only a few matches ago we scored that really nice goal. But then you have other games after that where it's been complete dog shit. Gabriel at the back, inconsistent. It wasn't so long ago that he was getting, he got like 3 Man of the Match awards, scored on his debut.
Yep.
Now he's looking at the ball.
In the autumn.
David Luiz, inconsistent. Can have some good games where he's playing the bat or he gets a red card and gives away a penalty. Xhaka, inconsistent. Rob Holding, inconsistent. He's kind of sort of becoming quite average though. I mean that in a good way, where he's kind of like found a little bit more of a sort of a plane. Who else is there? Aubameyang, which ties into the question that you just asked. If you look at his last maybe 6 games, inconsistent. Got a hat trick in there, got a couple of goals tonight, but there's other games that he's been there and he's really looked, off the pace. So to answer the Assemble's question about if I believe we will kick on from here, it really is a gamble. It really is. It's like you're playing Russian roulette because we've got so many inconsistent players. You just don't know. Who knows from one game to the next what kind of a performance that you're going to get from a player like David Luiz or Granit Xhaka or Hector Bellerin.
Yeah, pressure.
But these inconsistent players, usually inconsistent players are ones that are on the fringes. But these are some of the ones that I've named. They're like first stringers, like in the first 11. So
yeah, this is going to be.
Barry's calling you inconsistent.
Yeah, no, this is going to be the trick for Arteta. He's going to have to. He's going to have to switch. I think the lineup around a lot more than he already does, because he likes to stick with things just a little bit too long. And like you said, every player outside of Leno, Saka, Tierney, those three players, I think, are the ones that we can right now lean on. We're still waiting. Emil Smith-Rowe still needs more time. Martinelli,
doesn't get lucky, Martinelli.
But I feel like he needs to rotate those players because they are giving us good, especially like the Pepes, the Martinellis, and Emil Smith-Rowe's. Right now, those three players, they might need to rotate, but he needs to catch them on those good days, right? So when they do come in, they shine for 1, 2 to 3 games, and then maybe they take a little break, and then we don't lose. We're able to, because right now it seems like, well, how long has it been since Pepe's played? Martinelli's played? It's been like 3 or 4 games. They need to play more than that, and to keep
the United game
going, right? I mean, it can't be what it is. He sticks with them just a little bit too long, with whatever lineup or whatever players that he's feeling all hot. And we're not that type of team. I mean, Aubameyang had 5 goals in 4 games, and in the middle of them, he had nothing, right?
Yeah.
So,
as Stan said, he's had 6 games, but in 2 of those games, he's had a hat trick and a brace. So where was he the other 4 games? That's rough. It's inconsistent. But I've heard Sol's theory go around that Arteta wants to give players mini breaks in the campaign, like 2-3 games, 2-3 weeks they're out of the lineup. Do you think there's something in that?
I don't know really. I think obviously he's looking at it in a sense of it's not. I'm not a believer of this rest thing. I think you're an athlete. You're someone that's getting paid hundreds of thousands of pounds a week to play football, and that's what you should be doing. And I think they're fit enough. They should be fit enough. Otherwise, why are you a footballer in the Premier League if you're unable to play at least 80% or even 70% of the season? You shouldn't be a footballer then if you can't, because part of the game is being fit enough to play. And let's be honest, right? Like in the modern day game, people have got more access to facilities to keep you fit in terms of physios, in terms of equipment, in terms of doctors and research and operation,
right?
All sorts, that you can do. Whereas back in the days, people used to get, double-legged tackles, and then guess what? 3 days later, still play on the pitch. And like now, they're getting all these treatments and massages and recovery treatments, and they're unable to play after like a week. Come on, man. Like, I'm not in this resting, especially not with the modern day technology that we have.
just to make sure, which players are you talking about?
Okay, so Lacazette.
No, but I mean, the reason why I asked that question is because I don't feel like Saka, Emil Smith-Rowe, and Erdegaard Erdegaard should be able to play, but I don't feel Emil Smith-Rowe and Saka are players that can, because there's not even, they're barely 20, not even 20 yet. So I'm giving them, Saka can do it. I know he can, but he needs, we don't need Saka to be doing that today. We definitely need it. And, I would say next year he'll be fine, but, I could see in 2 years.
I meant more like of the senior, or the players who have at least done it for, I don't know, let's say 3 years or 4 years or 4 seasons, should you say? I made the joke, obviously. I think we need to send Emil Smith-Rowe a voucher to the spa because of how tired he looks. We could all chip in and send him to the spa, a nice spa day, because he's looking tired, man.
Yeah. Stan, how good is Bukayo Saka?
Oh, he's mustard, isn't he? Absolute mustard, mate. Different gravy. I mean,
on a hot dog or on a burger.
Whatever you want, mate. You choose. It's up to you, mate. It can do it all, can't
on
it?
A hot dog, because I think it goes better with a hot dog.
But we've got this. We're lucky to have this guy. You know, we've got a real prospect here. It's going to be really interesting. You know, for us all to watch where he's going to go with his career. He's got such a high ceiling. I mean, you know, he's one of our best players, if not the best player at the moment. And as well, you know, when I was talking about being inconsistent, he's one of those that you know what you're going to get. You're at least getting a 7 performance out of him at the minute, at least a 7. You know, how many is that? A couple of assists today, and you know the finishing part of it. You know, I'm sure that he's the sort of lad that's probably out there on the training ground doing a little bit of extra finishing after hours with Aubameyang and the other strikers and that. So the numbers will get better, and we do
come.
You know, sometimes when he does hoof it a little bit and it goes over, we do have to sort of like rein ourselves in a little bit and go, well, you know, this he's not the finished article yet. And if you think of any other player in the Premier League who's around his age, you know, there's not many of them that can actually hold a candle to him right now.
Well, are there 19-year-olds are out there doing what he's doing? A lot of them are not being leaned on by the whole team. I mean, Tierney's been out of the game for a little while, right? And Saka's been the only thing we know we can lean on consistently during that time. All right. So I don't know if there's any 19-year-olds doing what he's doing right now and being required to be out there all the time. I mean, Arteta has no choice. I mean, he should rest him, but he can't because he knows, you know what? Saka wants to play anyways, but he, you know, it's good and bad. It's good and bad.
Yeah, and we'll get into the Leicester game in a little bit as well, but we need him for the Leicester game as well. So maybe we can rest him for the Burnley game, but then there's a North London derby coming up as well. I think hand on heart, all of us out of these 3 games, I want to win that North London derby over any of the other 2 games coming up, over Leicester, over Burnley. So yeah, Tony.
Sorry.
Gary.
No, I was just gonna say, I think right now, if you talk to most people, we have to win every game, right? So it's kind of like we really can't take off a game because you know we could go into the North London derby really beat up, or you know, red card or something ridiculous because it's been that kind of a season where you need to win the next one, right? We need to figure out a way to win the next one without killing ourselves, right? Subbing out whoever we can sub and come together with a plan that still gets us a win, you know.
Tony, Bukayo Saka. Let's linger on Bukayo Saka a little bit. I mean,
I hadn't even finished talking about him yet. All I said was mustard, different gravy, and then that was it. Is that it? I did have a little bit more.
You want to add another condiment in there?
Is it 57 sauce?
That was just like the headline.
That was just a marinade.
That was just like a splash page, right? But the actual substance, yeah. You know, the meat on the bones is we've got a player who, what is it that he can't do, right? He can beat a man. He can go past a man. He's got good passing range. He can play in a variety of positions as well. He can defend because he can play him at left back if needed. I mean, he's a very all-rounded player for me. You know, this is a guy that's plays traditionally on the left, and for whatever reason now, it seems like he's our de facto guy to start out on the right. And he doesn't seem to complain about it. He's quite happy to be deployed wherever. I also think that as he gets a little bit older and he starts to learn the game a little bit more, and especially, you know, things like positioning and reading that you get with experience of playing first team football, I like to see if he could be deployed somewhere in the middle. You know, it's sort of, you know, maybe where sort of like Odegaard is playing at the moment, because I think he could do a lot of damage in that position once he gets a little bit more experience, perhaps. Who knows?
Yeah, no, if he can get comfortable.
If he can play at left back, he can definitely play in that sort of area, I would imagine.
Yeah, if he can get comfortable on the ball with traffic all around him, imagine him and Partey next to each other. You know what I mean? Because that's right now the one thing he can't. His hold-up play isn't there just yet. Where you feel like if there's a defender right on top of him, he'll be able to get away from him. And you know when you need to. I mean, Partey makes it look so easy when he's got somebody right on top of him that he can get away from them and push the ball up the field. So if they're working together, and he's able to get that kind of a skill from him, we're looking really good. We're looking really good no matter where we place him.
Tony, what's your take on Bukayo Saka here? And the Assemble said the problem Arsenal could run into is basically playing him so much he could pick up an injury later on in his career, like Jack Wilshere. I think it's something that Arteta is and has to be aware of with Bukayo Saka to have an asset for the next year as well and the year after that, not just for this year, Tony.
Yeah, Arteta was saying he was tired and worn out, but he still showed a great game. So he acknowledges that he's tired, but seems like he's still keep riding him and keep playing him every game anyway.
Yeah, I think
last season with Emery just kept playing him and playing him. Seems to held up so far in 2 seasons, overplayed, but hopefully it doesn't catch up with him.
Well, I mean, there'll be a time. I mean, it's going to happen, right? He's going to have to rest. So, and by then, hopefully, we've got the depth. So that will be a next season thing. Right now, I think they're going to play him as much as they can. So, if Erdegaard and Emil come around, I think we'll be fine. All right. So, Tabasco. What about HB sauce, Stan? Is that?
I like HB
sauce.
Yeah.
It's Daddy sauce. That's another name for HP sauce. I told you that before, right? Daddy sauce. Remember?
It still makes me smile in that certain way, Stan. Yeah, I used to like the A1 sauce when you had the turkey at Christmas time and the ham.
You can't beat a bit of Daddy sauce on some Wolves bangers, mate. Wolves sausages with a bit of like Daddy sauce on the. That's what I'm talking about. Sausage butty.
Saka, souls. He played Aubameyang in beautifully. Just reminded me a little bit of the goal that Aubameyang scored up at Old Trafford a season or two ago. He just sees this player, Saka, just sees things quicker than most other players.
Yeah, I mean, obviously the panel have done a brilliant job of talking about this man. I mean, he is stardom. He is a generational talent. He is one of the best youngsters in the Premier League. He has surpassed Mason Greenwood, in my opinion. He is coming for Foden now. That's how serious this boy is. And I know, but what people are going to say, Foden is levels ahead at the minute. But the fact is, right, in a struggling Arsenal team, he's standing out. He is giving 8s and 9s every single game. When's the last time we can sit there and say, "Oh, Saka, why did you do that?" Never. From game one to game.
Think about it. Foden has a lot around him. So, I mean, will he be able to do the same if he was in the same situation? Probably, because he would have no choice. So, but I mean, he's lucky that he's on a better team, and you know what? They held him back last year. This year they're giving him a little bit more, but he's still not, he's not an everyday starter for them some days. So you see him sit. So,
well, exactly that, and the one thing that I am going to say, right, in credit to Saka, right, he's added goals this season. He's on 5 goals, 6 goals in all competitions, and he's adding more and more to his game. Every time I see this man play, it's like he's learned something new. And that's what I credit him for, because he's got this mentality of he's a humble. He doesn't think he's made it. A lot of players in his position will think that. Yeah. You've got players who are probably less than him that think they're greater. And this guy is stardom. He is absolutely one of the most promising, most exciting youngsters. He's top 5 in Europe for me. And even when you look at other football rankings, he comes into the top 5. There's a few who are ahead of him, but he's coming for them as well. And imagine when Arsenal finally build a squad around him, he's gonna be a hell of a player. And one thing I can't wait for is the Euros and Saka playing for England. Because imagine Grealish, Foden, Mason Greenwood, and him. That's when you're going to really see the quality this guy has got.
And Ainsley Maitland-Niles.
if he's there,
carrying the water. He'll be the water carrier, Stan.
Yeah, man, and that's it, man. It's. I mean, you can sing praises all day. I mean, if you've got a 24-hour podcast, I mean, we could just talk about Saka if you want, because that's how flipping good he is.
Yeah. Well, we might do that on Sunday. We're probably going to go long on Sunday to do that, keep banging the drum there for Tony, trying to drum up some GoFundMe awareness for him. Stan, I talked about Aubameyang. We talked about Saka. We could absolutely talk another hour about Saka alone. And we do have to build a team pretty much around him. We've got to start building the pieces. I think we're going to get into that in a little bit, what we should do with the squad moving forward just before the Leicester game coming up. But let's round up with sort of Kieran Tierney tonight. And like I said, once again, I'm repeating myself, but a moment like Bakary Saka, Bakary Sanya, got all my names, my surnames mixed up now. Waxing lyrical about the Arsenal players. It's something we love to do. But Kieran Tierney, he's a driving force for this team moving forward.
Yeah, I mean, I can remember if we go back to when the first talk kind of started to emerge that there may be a link between Arsenal and Kieran Tierney. And if you remember, I was all over it. And it's not because I'm not an in the know person or anything, but here in Vancouver, the Arsenal supporters club, before lockdown and everything, we used to share the pub where we used to watch our games with Celtic fans. And there were a few times where we'd be in there at the same time. And you chit chat, and that's another reason why I'm all over that. Edouard was, if you remember, all the way back, I was talking about the two of them, Odison, Edouard, because I was watching him play, and I was like, wow, this guy looks pretty good, and Kieran Tierney. So when those links came up with Kieran Tierney, I was really pleased, and obviously, as you all know, I have a Scottish side to me, so I was glad that we were bringing a Scottish person into the fold, and for £25 million, I mean, that's a bargain.
Mm-hmm.
That's a bargain, considering considering what we've got on our hands for the many years to come that he's going to be part of this team, hopefully. And the reports that come out from the Scottish coaches, where is it Steve Clarke who's involved with them? He's come out and said on a number of occasions, when they talk about that left back position, how I think Tierney is kind of favoured a little bit more over Robertson. They've got two very good choices in that team. The fact as well that he can also slip in the centre-back position if needed for cover, gives them a little bit of versatility. But, I mean, not the goal that he scored today, the one that he scored before, where he took it up the wing. And I remember watching it and thinking to myself, I hope Aubameyang's watching this, because what he just done there to score that goal, where he run up and then he cut in, went round the guy and just went, yes, have that. And just shot that into the net. I was like, that's what Aubameyang should be doing from that same position. So at some point, I think he's going to get the armband. And we were talking about this on the same old Arsenal pod on Tuesday night. The trouble is, I'm not sure Aubameyang is even someone that really needs to have the armband himself, but it's been given to him now. And once you have the armband, it's very difficult for you to take the armband away, even no matter how you try to dress it up and give it to another player, while the current captain is still on the team. However you look at it, it's going to be taken one way or the other. If Aubameyang comes out and says, "Look, I want to relinquish the armband," it could be seen as a sign of weakness. If the manager comes out and says, "Look, I want to change things around," it could be deemed by other people from the outside that the manager, doesn't believe in Aubameyang. So I think that, the armbar, that's what Mike Hertz kept calling it. The armbar should be removed. Yeah. I just think that while Aubameyang is still at the club, I think he will remain captain. Yeah. And then it's once he leaves, right? But even when Aubameyang doesn't play, Kieran Tierney's not, he's not the vice captain. It's either Bellerin or Xhaka.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, I think by the time Aubameyang leaves, I think Bellerin would have already gone. And hopefully by the time Aubameyang leaves, hopefully Xhaka would have already gone. So then hopefully by default, it should be passed to Kieran.
But you know what? Also, you got to remember, Xhaka and Bellerin aren't starters on an Arsenal team that we're taking to the Champions League, right?
Yeah.
So,
Correct.
so if that's the case,
Good point.
they won't be on the field every game or every other game or most games during the season. So I don't think a captain is somebody who doesn't get to play every game. Or so once the summer comes, if they get that partner for Partey, there's one vice captain kind of on the bench, and then if they decide either Cedric or Bellerin. Does Bellerin play this weekend? We'll see. But when Cedric plays, if he continues to get better each time, and we can use him, because I feel like he gives us a little bit more well-rounded play on the right side. Bellerin today didn't give us that much, so I like Cedric. I think I like to see what happens with him out there on the right now on a consistent basis for a little while to see how that works out. So those two players probably won't even if we're where we want to be next year, if we are playing in the Champions League next year, they probably won't be. If the team does what we think they're going to do, those two spots are probably 2 of the 3 spots that are going to get filled. So,
Gary, I also have a feeling that Granit Xhaka and Tierney don't particularly get along. This is telling me from the Leeds game.
Yeah, no, I mean, I don't think Bellerin. Yes,
Tierney and Xhaka.
Yeah, I mean, they're not going for beers after the game for sure.
Yeah,
definitely not.
And look, you don't have to be best friends. You don't have to be best friends, but to engender a team spirit, you do have to get along. And I just have the feeling that Tierney and Xhaka don't get along. And I think Xhaka
I don't see that on
Tierney,
the field. Do you see it on the field like during the game? I don't feel like that's happening.
I see it.
You see it? Okay.
I do see it from time to time. Xhaka will turn somewhere else. Watch.
You know what? Here we go.
I think that's just more of a football thing because even when I used to play football, you will have a little bit of a heated moment, should we say? And I think because Kieran Tierney and Xhaka are big personalities in terms of I don't know whether ego is the right word, but they are very self-pride people. And when you've got two of them in one team, it's gonna look that way. But let's be real, like the mentalities that both of them have, they're not going to let that affect because Xhaka will cover for Tierney when he bombs forward, and that's not been affected. And that's why I do think what Gary's saying to a degree, I agree with. On the pitch, I don't believe it's affected too much because they are still covering for each other in terms of when Kieran Tierney does bomb forward, we tend to have one of our CDMs cover that fullback, and Xhaka's still doing that. If they had a beefing problem, I think Xhaka would be like, well, forget that, mate. He's going to get the blame for it anyway.
Xhaka is always going to do what Arteta instructs him to do. Xhaka is that guy who takes the homework home and he brings it out the next day.
The one partnership that I've seen that I feel like it's strained as well as for me anyways with Liverpool is Mane and Salah. I don't feel like they're best of buddies. Even when they both score, it doesn't look like one's too happy for the other one. They might shake hands and stuff, but it's like I have to do this because you're my teammate. But and they last 2 years, the last 3 years, I think it didn't really matter. But this year's probably be a little bit more stressful because it has been such a down season for them. But I think those are two players as well. So it's there, but I don't think like we said, I don't think it affects the play as much as it could, right?
I just see Granit Xhaka there. I just see Granit Xhaka there looking at Tierney, and he's knowing he's a potential captain over Xhaka again.
You know what? He should if that's what he's doing, and that's the reason why he shouldn't have the armband, right? Because you know what, Xhaka, if he was thinking that, then he's too busy thinking about that and not thinking about moving the ball forward, and that's why he takes the easy way out, right? So I mean, that's me being picky and anti Xhaka, but if that's what you think he's thinking, then I feel like that's the reason why we don't want him to have the armband. I mean, he like I said, when I heard him on that interview where he was talking, I said, you know what, that right there is what a captain sounds like when he's talking to the media about anything, about football, and then he gets into his personal life and stuff like that. That's what it sounds like. I don't know what Aubameyang sounds like in that type of situation. If they asked him the same questions, I don't feel like we would get it would feel the same. It wouldn't feel captain-like, Not saying he's our captain, and he's not my captain, but I'm saying like that's what it sounds like. That's what it looks like when you're talking to him. And I mean, I can see why they picked him because he does have that, and maybe that's he works fine for the Swiss team, but I don't think it works for the Arsenal team, not anymore.
Stan, what do you think is going on with Martinelli and Pepe, particularly Martinelli under Arteta?
Strange one, isn't it? Because in the interviews and when you read articles about press conferences or stuff that Mikel Arteta says, anytime he's asked about Martinelli, he bigs him up. How he is in training, his personality, that the energy that he brings around the place. But when it gets to the actual game, he seems loath to use him, doesn't he? He's like, oh right, I've got to change something around. I need to fill my Willian quota. Let's put Willian in. Do you know what I mean? Contract quota. But do you know what I mean? Fair's fair. I have to put some respect on a man like Willian today because he did get an assist, right? But there have been other times when, obviously, we can see that Willian's in some kind of a funk, which we don't know whether he'll ever get out of, and he wants to make a change, and he'd rather bring on Willian than a young whippersnapper like Martinelli, who we all know plays such a direct game. Do you know what I mean? He just will get the ball, and he's not one of those that gets the ball and passes it backwards, like a lot of our players enjoy to do. He gets the ball, he's just going to run for a brick wall and try and get to the goal. And sometimes you need a little bit of that. And sometimes when you have someone who's doing that, it encourages the other people around them to start doing that. Because, yet again, I don't understand what is the point of working the ball up out of the back from the goalkeeper and getting just to sort of like to the halfway line, only then to turn around and kick it all the way back to a centre back. It winds me up.
The makeup of your midfield that determines how you're going to do that. If you put an Elneny in there and a Xhaka, that might invariably happen a lot.
It just winds me up. I don't understand what is the adverse thing about getting to the halfway line and then continue moving that ball forward.
Mm-hmm.
And players running forward as well to try and find space. But we just do that all too often. I get that we do this style, we play out from the back, but sometimes we play it out from the back and then we play it back into the back. And a lot of the time, I actually feel that we put our goalkeeper under pressure at times.
You know what can I say? I mean, I just caught the end of your conversation, but I don't know who it was or what you were talking about. But it seemed like a lot of our players that take the ball up, and then I always want them to continue, but then they see somebody look at them, and then they turn around and go back, and I'm like,
kills all the tempo.
The defense is it's so easy for the defense to defend us because we don't even. Sometimes we give up before they even have an opportunity to shift. Yeah. Like you want the defense to shift over, but we're already pushing the ball backwards, and they could just stand there. Look at us, and we'll turn it back. And you know what? We have to punish them. Not punish them. We have to make them move, right? Yeah. So I just called the end of that, but I noticed that too many times, and that's Bellerin. I see that Bellerin does that. I see Xhaka do that. I mean, I think anybody. Ceballos does it. They just don't want to take that ball into the danger area, which means within like 5 or 10 feet of the defender. And it's like, you know what? Yeah. That's the only way you draw them in, And
the question was about Martinelli. And if you get Martinelli on the ball, he's going to continue going forward. And I think as well, it will encourage others to go forward. But for whatever reason, Mikel Arteta, he talks a good game when it comes to Martinelli, but the proof in the pudding is that we don't see enough of him for me.
Yeah. Which is worrying in a way. We have an asset that could grow there as well.
You know what? Maybe he's saving him like he did Saka. Because Saka at the end of the year, basically, we're like, what happened to him? And, maybe that's what he's doing, hopefully, because that's the only thing that makes sense to me is that he's giving him a little break,
Yeah.
I want to
I think one of the things that we do need to look at is that, Martinelli is a young lad who had one of a freak injury that kept him out for nearly 6 to 8 months. And then when he did come back, he picked up a few knocks. And I think what Arteta's trying to do is, rather than, making him a career-ending injury, he's trying to manage him and trying to bring him in games where maybe the pressure's not as much, where he needs to give 150%. like we know Martinelli will. Martinelli always gives 110%. He goes way beyond, what we need him to do sometimes, and it's in a good way. I'm not saying it, in a bad way, but I think Arteta's made the mistake with Partey, with Tierney, bringing him on, and obviously we've seen the North London derby what he did to Partey, and Partey's a fully developed, man. And he's getting reoccurring injuries. So if you think about a young man who's potentially still growing, because there are some people who grow to the age of 21, not necessarily 18. So maybe he's managing it and he's trying to think with the doctors, is it worth it? Maybe he's putting him on the bench to be like, if I absolutely have to, like he did in the first leg against Benfica, gave him a little bit of a run out because the game was kind of stale and there wasn't really a lot for him to do. And I think this is where we need to use the under-23s for Martinelli, bring him into them and allow him to grow that fitness in a less intense environment.
Souls, do you think that the fans, I'll come to you then, Stan. Souls, do you think the fans value what Martinelli gives, but Arteta doesn't necessarily, he fears that it's more of a risk to put Martinelli on the field?
I mean, if you think about what Martinelli's done since he's come to Arsenal, we absolutely need him. And fans need to understand he's 19, right? He's got a whole future ahead of him. He's not a 30-year-old where this is it, this is his last few years. And I think Arteta's I think he is trying to be cautious with him because we've seen some young people whose careers have ended due to injuries and they come back and they hurt, and especially when it's bone structure injuries and like having bone breaks and fractures, they can be, especially in a physical league like the Premier League. Even for Ramsey, it took him quite a while to come back after Shawcross did what he did. So we've got to be patient. And I understand it's frustrating because there's so many games that even I scream, "Come on, bring Martinelli on." And I think more of the frustration is because Willian comes on. I don't think it's because Martinelli doesn't come on.
Yeah, Stan.
I'm just going to answer Ray Anderson's question. He said before this game, did you know that Willian only has 57 more minutes than Martinelli? But the thing is, it's like that's 57 minutes which have been broken down into these little chunks which are spread out over a lot of games, right? It's come on for 15 minutes there. It's come on for the minutes there.
That's probably 5 games right there.
So it's a lot of appearances. It's not like he's come on for half a game for 57 minutes and got subbed. That 57 minutes has been spread out. And all of that time, yes, we did see Martinelli in the first leg at Benfica. We did. But up until that point, it had been extremely fleeting, right? Maybe that was a bit of a catalyst. I don't know. Did Mikel Arteta see enough of Martinelli in the Benfica game to think to himself that I'll try him again? I don't know.
I don't follow those numbers though. I mean, what does that mean? Maybe somebody can clarify for me what those numbers.
Martinelli's come back and played some full games here and there. He played against City in the cup game. You would think Willian has way more minutes, but he's getting tiny chunks here and there, is what Stan's saying.
Are you talking about this year?
Yeah.
Willian, right?
Injury.
Williams played 15 games this year. Martinelli's only played 5.
But minutes. You got to look at the minutes.
But the minutes are like 1,500 to 300. So I'm a little bit
confused. What he was saying.
Since what's injury? Oh, since Martinelli's injury.
Yeah.
But you know what? I kind of feel like Willian, I wasn't expecting him to play that much in the first place. When he came in, I wasn't expecting him to be somebody we had to lean on, and I think we broke him.
What did you think after the first game, Gary? Did you think he would be a mainstay?
I said, what did I? Do you remember what I said?
No, I never remember.
You never remember whatever I say. That's great. I said, you know what, Pepe? This is how you need to play that position. That's what I said.
Of course, I remember.
I said, Pepe, you didn't start in the first game, but you know what Willian just showed you? This is how he wants. This is how Arteta wants you to play. You need to be running back and forth. You need to be tracking back. You need to be bumming forward. You need to be moving. That's what I said.
Of course, I remember. I remember that, Gary.
You know what Pepe did? He didn't do any of that. He didn't do any of that until December when the youngsters came in and said, you know what? We get to play because you know what? We move. We got energy. We will track back. We lose the ball. And then you started seeing Pepe do the exact same thing. And I wonder why did it take, 3 months for that to happen? Because Willian showed it in the first game. never showed that. We never got a complete game like that again, right?
No.
And I don't think I wasn't expecting it, but I thought it was like he was going to be the mentor to Pepe.
Yeah.
Right, and to
No,
the
of
mid,
course.
into this, our creative players. I thought that's what he was going to do. I think we broke him when he leaned on him so much because he's never been able to get back to that form. I've never seen him running around like that again.
Of course, I remember you saying that at the start of the season, Gary. I was just razzing you. Gary, any other points? I'll start with Gary. Any other points from the Benfica game moving forward, and we'll get into the rest of the topics here.
We saw a lot of good, and hopefully the players can build on that. That's kind of being my thing. It's like we saw a lot of good there, so we take some of those, a lot of those good points that we saw, and bring it forward to the Premier League, right?
Yep.
Leicester City is good, but they're not that good. They're not Manchester City, right?
And
so
didn't we play Slavia Prague in our group? We beat them twice, right?
I think so. Is it
Same
Prague?
team. Slavia Prague.
I don't know, but that name doesn't sound familiar to me. It was Dundalk, Mulder, and who else? I can't remember.
Dundalk.
Slavia.
I don't remember who the other team was.
Wasn't it Molde?
Mulder,
Dundalk,
and Slavia. Okay, yeah, I don't remember that
first
team.
Game.
Oh, it was
we beat them 2-1. Tony, any takes from the Benfica game tonight? I mean, can we take it into the Premier League on Sunday?
Hopefully we can. Hopefully we can do it for 90 minutes instead of one half or 20 minutes at a chunk. Hopefully we can translate it into a full game. It's one thing I just keep asking for is a full 90 minutes, and we just can't get it from this team for whatever reason. Just can't.
Go ahead and tack on your Tony Dunn one man in the match, and we'll rip it apart. Your nomination.
To me, it would be Saka again. I think he had another great game.
Yeah. He's got to be Stan. He's got to be Player of the Year.
Yeah. Wasn't it Vienna in our group?
Rapid Vienna.
Yeah, that's who it was.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. I think it was Prague.
Yeah.
You're right.
And Dundalk. So sorry, the question was about what?
Well, who was your man in the match, and how good is he? How good is Saka?
Yeah, he's my man of the match. And as I said, mustard, different kind of gravy.
Definitely going to be Player of the Year, the Arsenal Player of the Year. So
he's up there. He's up there, isn't he? He's one of the. It's going to be one of the nominations. I think we already know who the top sort of like 3 nominations could be. So yeah.
Thanks, Brownie. Rapid Vienna. Souls, you go along with Saka as well?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, it's a toss-up between Aubameyang or Saka because, finally Aubameyang did something good for us and he repaid all the faith that we had in him. But, Saka is just, Saka.
Gary?
Yeah, I find it hard to give Aubameyang. Yeah, I find it hard to give it to Aubameyang because he's doing what we want him to do, and the more consistent he is, the easier it is. They were served up pretty nicely, those passes to him, right? He didn't make do as much work as we thought, but Saka for me.
Yeah, that first pass, that first assist from Saka playing Aubameyang in, and that's a trademark finish from Aubameyang, lifting it over the keeper.
Yeah. Tierney. I know a lot of people thought Tierney also could get a little bit of a vote in there as well.
This was Tierney's audition for future captaincy. I believe it, and Arteta knows that, and I think he acknowledged it in his conference call.
May I just say as well that Aubameyang nodding him in from the back post seems to be kind of like a part of the plan as well, And remember, we kind of thought that heading wasn't really Aubameyang's thing, but that's a couple in a row now where that move has come in. So it's good to see another string being added to our bow, right? That we've finally got players that can whip some balls in. Because we went for ages about having a player that could cross a ball in. Now we've got a couple. We've got Tierney can whip him in. Saka could whip him in, so it's nice to see that.
I
And
mean, I always
Stan,
make the joke, and I think Arteta's finally listened to me, and I think they're playing headers and volleys in training, and if someone's getting a red ass, and I think it's always Aubameyang because of the amount of headers he misses.
yeah, definitely. This tie reminded me of the Rennes tie a few years ago, where we went all the way to the final. We got ourselves in trouble in the first leg, and Aubameyang finished things off in the second leg. Well, listen. One other thing from this Europa tie. Who do we want, Souls? Who do you want from the pot? For I think the draw is tomorrow.
Yes, tomorrow for us it's 12 o'clock, so it's a midday one for us. And who do I want? Mr.
You can
Good
play.
Evening.
You can play
I want
devil's
Mr.
advocate.
Good Evening. I want to give him a good evening. Yeah.
For
I want
Villarreal.
Villarreal. Yeah.
Yeah. There's some tasty ones in there still, Gary. Slavia Prague, which I mistakenly thought were in our group. Milan, Dinamo Kiev, United, Tottenham, Roma, Olympiacos again. Maybe Olympiacos might be nice.
Oh, hell no.
Yeah, no, I mean, we already played in their stadium once. I don't want to play in it again, right? So,
The Heartbreak Kids at the minute.
personally, I don't. I mean, as long as it's not an English team, I'd be happy because we kind of got punished with that in the FA Cup where we just didn't get to play anybody outside of Premier League. It seemed so.
Yeah.
They need to be nice to us and give us some teams outside of the UK. I think that would be nice. I guess so. That's what I mean, that's what I think we need. I think we need a stepping stone. Right now. We don't need to jump into one of the big boys and play them too soon. So
yeah, Mold would be nice to pick them up again. Looking at the list, Tony, there's a lot of teams we don't want to meet, and there's only a few teams we would like to meet. So it's very even out there, Tony.
It's pretty evenly balanced. I'd like to get somebody like Young Boys, but we probably won't draw them. We'll probably have bad luck and end up with Man United or something like that.
Stan, what do you think?
Me, Tottenham all day, mate.
You want 3 North London derbies in a row?
Yeah, man.
it'd be nice to beat them 3 times in a season, right?
Yeah. I mean, could you imagine if we got them the build up to it all, the tension?
Yeah.
I mean, for me, that's what football's. For me,
Stan, have you not had enough heart attacks today?
yeah. I mean, I want to get my money's worth out. I want to get my money's worth out of my private Bupa health insurance policy.
You can play the meme. Respect 3 times. Respect.
But there is a part of me that is kind of like, I'd rather play Tottenham than have something really easy with a team like Mold. It would just make it exciting. It would be like a proper edge of your seat affair. The build up, getting ready for it, the tension, then actually watching the game, and who knows? It's those kinds of games where maybe players may raise themselves above the bar and won't have an inconsistent match, and may do something, and it would be nice for us to fucking dump them out. So,
and to be fair, we do better against competition sometimes. When we get the
Bigger
easier
teams.
draws, we don't do well.
Yeah. We definitely played down. I think somebody said before what happened against Benfica. We played down to their level, and we gave them 2 goals, as Gary said. Penalty in the first leg and Ceballos assist. That's the meme probably. But one thing I want to note from the Ceballos assist is that Bernd Leno learned his lesson from the Wolverhampton Wanderers game, did not commit the foul, did not get sent off, and the team learned from that. We were able to come back in the final 30 minutes. Not 11 versus 11, Gary. Very important.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, definitely. Did Tierney play in the Wolves game?
No,
Probably not. No.
All right, we're just trying to figure out if the dynamic of the team was different, and it definitely was. If
Yeah.
he was out of the game, so
Yeah.
I'm not saying we still could have done something in that game if we didn't go down 2 men, but we had opportunities in that we had opportunities still, right?
Hopefully, another positive I'm taking is the team is learning situational football. Don't get yourself into these predicaments. Bernd Leno was like, I'm not getting sent off again. It's a bitter pill to take, conceding the goal in the 60th minute, knowing you've got to get 2 goals to to overcome the tie, and we did that.
Yeah.
So yeah, listen. We would have liked to have blown them away 5-0 over 2 legs. It didn't happen. We did it the Arsenal way. We got through 4-3 on aggregate,
Yeah.
and we needed
I know everybody said I was crazy with my 5-2 estimate, my 5-2 prediction for the game. But we had a goal call back, so that's 4. And
Yeah.
and I'm gonna say, Saka could have got me at least 1 goal off the 2 shots he took. Come on.
Gary, don't forget, I was also a bit stupid when I said 5-2 Leeds. So,
Gary, by you mentioning that, now we have to give credit to Tony because he did pick the correct score, right?
Yeah, he did.
I think people just love heart attacks in this group, don't they?
Yeah.
See, 3-2.
We're used to.
Yeah, 3-2 to me means that we go 3-0 and then we do something Arsenal-like,
Mm-hmm.
and then like we did in the Chelsea game. So that's the kind of 3-2 I was expecting. If we're gonna get a 3-2, then it means that they scored at the end, towards the end of the game, when we made a mistake. And
hey, Gary, they updated. They gave you an Arsenal way, the different way.
What they definitely did.
All right, let's switch tacks a little bit. I'll start off with
a question very quickly, if you don't mind.
Yeah.
I just wanted to know how you guys feel, and also in the chat box about now that we're playing European games again. Do you think that the away goals rule is still something that is valid in today's game? Does it seem a little bit archaic to you? I just wonder what you guys think.
I think if it was the traditional way, as in we actually played home and they actually played home, then yeah, it's fine. But I think when you've got these neutral grounds, it makes no sense at all because, number one, you don't have the dimensions of your stadium and the atmosphere of your stadium to go off of. Even if you don't have fans, just playing at home, you're more accustomed to it. If that kind of makes sense. I know it's a little bit confusing to explain.
Can I go a bit further then? I actually mean, let's say football is normal. When it was normal, we're playing in the home and away, we've got crowds.
Oh, then yeah, I like the home and away. Really? I think that's what the drama is.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, I like it.
Personally, for me, I think it's a bit archaic. I think a game of football should be a game of football. You're playing 2 games. You're both going to be playing in front of your home crowd. You each have a chance to play at your home ground. I just think the away goals rule. Again, this is playing into my other rule about you shouldn't get a point for a 0-0 draw. I know that's controversial, but I also think the away goals rule in Europe now. I understand why it was brought in originally, but I think the way that football's kind of played now, I think it's a bit archaic myself.
Well, I think I can see how it would be nice if you didn't have it there, because then if you did. Because now I think a team that scores 4 goals away, I mean, like Manchester United, right? They scored 4 goals away. It was 0-0 today, and that's just probably because they were like, you know what? Let's just rest, put 10 guys behind. I don't know if it was like that, but that's a 0-0 game to me. And the other team actually was the highlight that I saw was when the other team had an opportunity to kick that was a penalty kick and they missed it. He
was training for the rugby.
It was a terrible penalty kick, but so yeah, I can see that not having that extra.
And another thing, Oyarzabal has not missed a penalty. I think in his last 18 he scored all, and this is the first one he's missed.
Wow, yeah.
Who? Fernandez?
I don't know. Oyarzabal, the Real Sociedad player.
All right. Okay. Ray Anderson asked me a question. Suppose it was the 85th minute. Would you still want Leno to do that? I do want Leno to do the right thing to get, be situational football. If it's 85th minute, you still have a chance to come back, not to go a man down. I kind of agree. I think, Stan, I still like to keep the away goal rule. It hurts. It hurts. Like after 60 minutes tonight, we were thinking, are we going to get 2 goals in the last 30 minutes? We haven't done it all season. The last 15, 20 minutes of our games have been pretty dead. We've not scored a lot of goals,
I just would if you're in a situation where it ends in a draw, and you don't have the away goals rule, then what I would like to see is in that game will then follow the usual format of going into extra time, And if it can't be sorted out in extra time, it will then go to penalties.
Penalties.
Yeah,
Right.
the reason why I do like that is because teams that know that they're not going to have an opportunity will probably sit back. But if they know they're going to get nothing for it, then you might as well try to get the point, right? And the point means, 1-1 draw. So worst case scenario, you get a 1-1 draw, then you get a point. Otherwise, you get nothing. So what's the point? You're not going to sit back. What it does though is it just changes the game a little bit, right? The strategy changes now, right? Because now you're not going to play defensively for 90 minutes. No way, you can't afford it because you're going to lose. You're going to lose at least a
Unless you're a
point.
team that's being coached
So,
by
are you trying to say like not to have aggregate scorelines, or is it just so I understand it?
No, like in a Premier League, right? 0-0 draw is 1 point for everybody.
Okay.
Yeah.
But going forward with a stands rule, everybody has to play. You're going to have to try to get a goal in, at least
Somebody
one.
has to score. Yeah, at least one
If
goal.
you want to get a point, like if you're in relegation and if I get a draw, I'm staying out of relegation zone. You're going to have to score if you want to stay out of relegation zone now because you need to get that point. So
I think it's a great.
Gary's almost right. No team plays defensive, defensively for 90 minutes, unless you're a team that's managed by Jose Mourinho. And then,
And Stan, if we have 3 North London derbies, how many buses is he ordering for those 3 games? Quite a few buses.
I mean, we could start a bus company. It'll make a lot of money.
I mean, it's, as much as I dislike the Spuds, right? I would never ever wish them to be relegated because yes, it would be funny for a while, and my voice would be hoarse from laughing at some of my friends, just like repeatedly in their faces. But once all of that, once that sort of dies down a little bit, it then will start to sink in that there's not going to be, a North London derby. Yeah. There may not be a St. Tottering's Day, and I look forward to the derby. So as much as I dislike them and I want to see them finish as low as I can, I don't know if I actually want to see them relegated. You know what I mean?
You want them to have hope, right? Hope that they have a chance to beat Arsenal. I hope that they can win the league, that they can win a cup, a trophy, and then you want somebody to just come in and just smash away that dream. So
nothing will ever beat nothing will ever beat having that power to basically crush their spirits.
I mean, let's be honest, right? They're selling merchandise because they reached the final. So.
Hey, Souls, take that question for Ray Anderson. Leicester, Spurs, United played their home matches at their home, but all their opponents played in another country. Doesn't seem fair.
I'm glad I didn't have any work experience to go to United because I have been to United this season to do a bit of IT work, and I don't know. I think it's to do with the fact that and this is what confuses me because Leicester got to play their home leg at home, and apparently Arsenal's got a higher rate of COVID or something, and it's just very silly and it's very stupid with how they've arranged all of this, and that's why I thought just do a neutral venue, do one leg, and just have a knockout stage game. Like this whole 2-legged affair in neutral ground just doesn't make any sense.
As Brownie said, he thought some fans think it's double. The away goals rule counts double. So you score 2 goals, they got to score 5. I love the assembled Ray. It's United. They're exempt from following the rules, any rules at all.
Well, yeah. I mean, that made no sense, right? I mean, now you just essentially just corrupted, the games because we've had to play 2 away games and nobody else, and not every team got to do that, Well, luckily we made it through, but I understand that it's the dollars and cents of it, right? They just don't want to lose the dollars, TV dollars, right? So
want to get into a quick discussion about what's going to happen in the summertime. We basically paid players in the January window to move along. Some of them acquiesced to move along very nicely for us, but we got to stop paying players to leave. And I think in the summertime we got to be looking at sort of generating some cash because the squad does need to overhaul. We're 30 minutes. We were 30 minutes away from a different type of podcast, and I didn't want to have that podcast tonight, at least. I don't think we're going to win the Europa League hand on heart, but I think we were good enough to get past Benfica tonight. And looking at the teams here, I know we're going to go out at some stage, and the fan base is going to go into a meltdown. So let's have a quick discussion about the players, Gary, you want to see leave and what kind of cash we could get for them.
Yeah, I mean, unless we, like you said, unless we do get get into the European spots, or we win the Europa League, we're gonna need money. Unless Stan, was okay with the $1.8 billion loss that he took, and doesn't mind still throwing some cash our way. We might have to, sell some players, and I think a lot of us are fine with that, right?
Yeah.
Between like Lacazette, I think is an easy one, right?
Yeah.
I mean, Pepe to some might be an easy one as well, because you might be able to get something for him as well. He's not playing now anyway, so it's not like they want him. So that's one player. Those are two players that I think they can get enough for, and Guendouzi and Torreira. All right, if they get something for those two players, I mean, I think we have enough players that we can sell. The problem is, are people buying?
And we've got disturbing reports of Guendouzi not exactly maturing yet. He's about to have a kid, but the coach over there has said he's not mature.
There's an article that he's going through puberty.
Football.
I don't know too many puberty players going. Well, first, people going through puberty, about to have a child, making like $1 million a year, kind of, just everything about that just sound,
I do believe once you have a kid, though, it slaps you on the back of the head, and you gotta man up at some point as well. So
yeah.
I think Guendouzi will come around. It may take a little while yet.
Yeah.
As Ray Anderson said here, we've got a whole flock of players that may not make the grade here. Ainsley Maitland-Niles being one of them. Bitter pill for a lot of us to swallow. Willock, Nelson, Chambers. Cover your ears, Tony. Chambers, Eddie, Hector Bellerin. So it's a long list then.
The two on that list for me, that are the ones that I feel like can't we do something more with them, is Chambers and Torreira. And I think the bigger, and I would put Torreira as the highest one. And I don't understand how Mikel Arteta, when he came to us, one of the biggest things that was in his, on his CV was that, he is really good at making players better. He's really good at improving players. We heard interviews, didn't we, of some of the players, Sane and Sterling, saying how much that Mikel Arteta was integral to helping them improve their game.
Yeah.
If you've got a player like Torreira, and I definitely think that there was a player in there, and I go back to the last Arsenal live game that I was fortunate to see, which was the 4-2 North London derby, where he scored that goal under Unai Emery. Mm-hmm. And I honestly thought to myself, this guy, he could be in that position now for quite some time. And I don't understand how someone like Mikel Arteta, who him and Torreira, they share the same mother tongue, being Spanish, how Mikel Arteta coming in could not somehow put his arm around Torreira and help him, maybe have a little bit of a reset. Because, I know that he was, I know Unai Emery also speaks his mother tongue, but he was playing him in some strange positions at times. He had him running around.
He never settled, and he never wanted to stay. He wanted to get out of England, apparently. And there was a lot of reports about him being homesick. And
why did he come in the first place then? I mean, I don't understand why. If he didn't want to come to England, he should never have come to England. But what I'm saying is,
what part of his experience that you've seen so far in Atletico Madrid leads you to believe that he's comfortable there either? Because he's not. It doesn't seem like he's going out of his way to make sure that he has a place that they want him, right? Like whatever they want from him, he's not giving it to them. And if he doesn't want to be in England, then he needs to do everything he can to showcase that, I'm worth something over here, because I don't want to be there. So he's in a hard spot right now, because I think like you said, I think we can use him. I mean, he could partner with Partey, and it would be nice to see that combo, right? See, I believe that's where you would
I
put
think
him, right?
initially
So,
that's what Simeone thought was going to happen, right? We basically went in there in the middle of the night, thieves in the night, and ran away with Thomas Partey when they were looking at bringing in Touré. And maybe I think Simeone maybe initially had, that Partey and Touré would play together. But I mean, if he was feeling homesick, I would have thought that someone like Mikel Arteta would have been ideal to make him feel a little bit more at home. Do you know what I mean? Come round on Sundays, Lucas. The missus is going to be cooking paella. You'll love it, mate. You know what I mean? We'll have some Coronas, paella. It'd be just like being at home again. Do you know what I mean?
I hear what you're saying, but I also feel like if that was the case, then I don't think Saliba would have been homesick, because I felt like the one thing I think he needed was to feel at home. I felt like he needed to be at home, and the team as a whole did not make him feel like he's home. And for some reason, they kept saying he wants to go back, and I'm like, wait a second, this is the team that spent all this money to bring you out. Of course, they want you to be their family. So somehow you're going to have to do that, especially with all the things that were going on with him. If you're gonna reach out to one of your players, that would be the one player that you should have been reaching out to. He shouldn't feel like he needs to go back to Nice or go back to France, right, to feel at home, because Arsenal is your home, and that's what my understanding is, that's what Arsenal does, right? We're all a family, right? And if you're
But can
family,
I ask you, Gary, then, do you think then that the way that someone like Saliba, Guendouzi maybe to a certain extent, and Torreira, do you think that's that the mishandling of them is a failing on our part as a club?
I believe so.
Yeah,
I
agree with
believe
you.
so. Yeah,
I'd agree with
yeah.
you.
I definitely believe that we did not do a good job there. He should have known everything what was going on, and if he wasn't going to play, then he needed to be gone the beginning of the summer, right? I don't get this. We had a week to do a deal to send him out back to France. Was the reason why he didn't go through. That should have been done sooner than later, because you knew what you had in terms of center backs on the team. You had too many. If you weren't going to play him, then you should give him the time that he needs to come back, because that's what you wanted anyways. You wanted to get him playing time. You weren't going to play him with what the team that you had, because you had like 8 center backs, and you couldn't get them all out anyways. You could get him out, but you couldn't get the other 5 players that they had. So I kind of feel like they mismanaged that one. That's been kind of a problem, right? They mismanaged some of the players. That Saliba should have been gone. Nobody would have said a word if they said, you know what, this is what we want. But he sat around for 4 or 5 months, idle, playing in U23 games. That's just.
I can compact that even down, and I just think that, especially for a team where over the past couple of years we've been sort of like spinning a story that we're strapped for cash. How in the fuck did we pay 30 million for a centre back who's not kicked the ball in anger for Arsenal in 2 seasons?
We have wasted a lot of money.
You pay that kind of a money for someone, and you don't even try them out. It's not like we tried him out for half a season, and then they said, you know what? Yeah, we've been playing him in these cup games. He needs to go out on loan because he's not quite there yet. The guy literally hasn't kicked the ball in anger in 2 seasons, and we could. That 30 million for me could have gone somewhere else.
Well, Mustafi is the reason why
maybe we'd have a better partner.
Think about it. Mustafi is the reason why he didn't play. Mustafi is the reason why he didn't get to play in the Europa League. I mean,
I think we all realize when a new coach or a new manager comes in, he's not going to fancy some players, but this has gone a little bit too far. Arteta has turned his nose up like a fussy dog that doesn't like the dog food you get him. You got to give him the good chicken. You got to go buy the good food. And I think you mentioned working with Sterling and Sané. Arteta has worked with very, very good players at Manchester City, and maybe he turns his nose up a little bit at those players.
There was Saliba, there was Fontana, and between the two of them, we supposedly got the best one, right? So, and Arteta was he around for that when they brought him in? I guess not, but that was the saying going around, right? There were 2 players in that center back field, and
Saliba
we got the better one, right? So
Saliba was bought by the previous crowd of people.
Yeah. I mean,
Anyway.
if he didn't like him, then he should have let him go. That's the other part to this, right? Especially somebody who, like you said, they spent $30 million on him. They're paying whatever $5 million a year for him, and they're not getting anything back for him because he's playing for the U23s. That's not, that is the player management issue that we know we have.
On the other hand, though, I think they're managing him quite well because you've got to think he's a young man who lost his mum, and mentally he might not be in the right place. And I do think it's difficult because obviously we don't know exactly what goes on, but in the backstages, and we don't, because obviously Saliba's been very vocal. He wants to play. But maybe Arteta's looking at the toxicity of a fan base, and he's looking at because we've seen how much social media stuff has come out. What if Saliba had a string of bad games? We're gonna be on his case. Eddie Nketiah is a youngster who's come through our academy. We've been absolutely raving this kid in the academy, and then there's fans who have gone and racially abused him. And we don't have any emotional connections to Saliba other than the fact we want him to play. So maybe Mikel's looking at the situation and saying, you know what, go over to France, go home, be comfortable, and be with surroundings that maybe you're familiar with. Maybe you can get your friends around, you can get your family around, and come back with a better mindset with the fitness that's required of you. And then we can reevaluate everything. So I think it's a toss up of the two.
No, I hear what you're saying. My thing is that he should have been gone. Like whenever summer's window opened up, bye. Because like you said, he needed to be back home. He needed to be probably more in an area that he was more comfortable with in terms of his situation, his living and everything. So that's what I feel like that he should have been gone. It shouldn't have been. They felt like, I think they dragged him along a little too long, and then said, "Sorry, we can't get you out at the last moment."
Yeah.
But we brought Pepe in that same period of time, and it's like, you know what? What were your priorities for him? What were your priorities to get Partey in? I mean, they did everything to get Partey in, $50 million contract or £50 contract in a week or whatever it was.
Arteta,
and then
mandated by Arteta, he wanted him, right?
Yeah, but then Saliba is sitting there going, "Well, wait, what happened to me? Oh, wait, you know what? We're gonna put somebody else in your spot." So that's my thing about it. If he does, if he's not playing for Arsenal, he needs to play somewhere. That's the thing, right? Yeah, nobody wanted him, man. Nobody wanted him, but
Saliba is an orphan. Unfortunately,
it's like Annie. Annie. Sorry.
I wanted him to do better for him. He needed to go back home, and he should have been home as soon as the season ended. They should have said, "Go back home. We're going to work on your contract. You probably won't have to come back," and that didn't happen. So I feel like the team let him down in that situation.
So Tony, what we're seeing is the effects of COVID is affecting the world in very different ways, and we're asking what happened in the Saliba deal. Was it the best thing for him to play? Was it the best thing for him to go out on loan? Nobody really knows, and Arteta, and only Arteta and Saliba really knows. So the effects of lockdown and coronavirus has sort of impacted everything when you think about it.
Yeah, for me, we have enough French players or French-speaking players to make him feel at home. I don't think he should have had to go back to France. In my opinion, I don't think he ever plays for us. I think he's already jaded. I think he gets sold this summer.
Unfortunate waste of resources, Stan. 30 million, like we said, over 2 years ago, we paid that money, or we will have paid it over time, and we get no benefit out of it.
No benefit. I mean, we know that he's had family issues and all of that. What Arsenal should have done, for me, back then, was they should have said, "All right, you go home for a couple of months. You don't think about football. Meanwhile, we're going to keep a place for you in the cup teams, something like that. We'll keep a spot. 2-3 months. Forget about football. Go home and grieve, my son. Grieve. Spend some time with your family, rather than sitting down with him and going, right, so we might send you up north to Burnley or somewhere up the north of England. I mean, the lad doesn't even speak of English. And you're going to, what you're going to do? Send it to Grimsby? We're going to send it to Grimsby? Do you know what I mean? I mean, it's bad enough you just lost a parent, and then you're going to like send the guy to Grimsby. So all of that should have been just null and void. He should have been taken away from football. He should have gone home for 2 or 3 months to grieve, and then he comes back. He starts to, we ask him how he's feeling. He starts doing some training, and with the first team. Has a few games, with the under 23s, so that they can have a little bit of a look at him. Ease him into cup games, so on and so forth. He's now part of the Arsenal family. But I also want to answer the assembled question, the question that he put up about the wages. Now, the way
Yes.
it's higher up.
Yeah, I was going to address that as well. You go first then.
Where is it? Not that. Yeah, no.
It's about 4 up from there.
Yeah, it says basically that Saka's on a contract, and the Mirror put out their wages, their salaries, and that Saka's on 30 grand a week, and Willian's on 190 grand a week.
Yep.
Well, to give you a little bit more context on that, if you look at it from the Saka side, right, coming through the youth system and being only 19, this is how it's going to work for Saka. Obviously, we went through all of that period of time and we wanted him to put pen to paper. So we've secured him, right? And he's on that 30 grand a week. But you got to say that maybe a year and a half before that contract comes to an end, Arsenal will then be going back in. And if his agent's smart, his agents would have told him, you go in at the 30 grand, and this is where you're going to get into the first team and you're going to show them what you're worth. A year and a half before that contract ends, that's when they're going to come back to you for the big money.
Mm-hmm.
That's when you're going to see like 6 figures, because
yeah,
we know now, we all know what he's worth. Not only do we know, everybody that watches football knows. Yeah,
so the football world knows.
We now have to tie
that. I've always said it. You know, when you're young, with this whole Balogun thing where he's asking for £100,000. If you're that good, your financial future's secured anyway. Because if you're that good, the money will come.
Exactly.
Because we can see it. Like, no youngster in world football is getting paid huge money. Even if you look at United have a lot of money to be given to players, but they don't do it either. Look at Rashford's a prime example. He came in, he was on a couple of grand a week. He broke into the first team, and then he got offered a new contract for about 25 to 30k. Then he got another contract for about 60 to 70k. And then he came in, and now he's getting the 100 and whatever £1,000 per week that he's on, with like add-ons of nearly 20, 30k. So the money will be sorted if you're actually backing your talent.
Yeah. I mean, the one thing that I think people have to also take into mind is I believe that he was making 3 to 5k a week prior to that contract. So he got almost 10 times as much money on that contract, and he wasn't going to get 50, 60. You know, that he's fine where he is. And you know what? He's not even in his prime, and that's why I don't think the money needs to be that high, because we're not at demand. They shouldn't have to demand so much time out of him, but they are. But they shouldn't have to. Most teams with 19-year-olds aren't asking him to do what he does. Yeah. He's just in a strange situation with Arsenal where they are depending on him. When he's playing like he's supposed to, like in about 3 years from now, he'll be making the 6 figures like we said, and he should be still with Arsenal at that point. I mean, so I think I heard somebody say that maybe they sell Saka because you know what, for their potential that you'd be able to sell him for it would be astronomical. It'd be really, definitely. So Arsenal has a good player there that they need to build the structure around him, and it's gonna take money to do that, and because of all the past dealings. I've always wanted Arsenal just to take that hit now, take it early. Like I wanted them to take that last summer. We spent 50, but I think we should have spent 100 in that window, because it's going to get harder either to get the players or the prices, or nobody's selling, so you're not going to be able to make that deal. So that's kind of where I am with that. But yeah, I think.
Gary, the question I'm going to ask you next. Then, would you cash in on Saka?
I didn't finish again.
Sorry.
I'd like to answer the second part about Willian, right? He gets 30, Willian's on 190. I haven't finished. Right? So.
Are we starting my outro now?
No, you can't do that. You can't do it. We're not there yet.
I'm still answering the Assemble's questions. His question. I haven't finished answering it yet.
I even haven't got a turn either yet. I didn't.
It's been a while since I've had you on there. I forget how this thing works.
He just chips in and cuts stand off.
So basically, we've seen the difference between a young player and a veteran player at the end of his career. The veteran player at the end of his career can command the amount of money he's getting, also on the free transfer, right? Bukayo Saka is working up to that and stands right. He will be able to negotiate in a year or two from now a bigger bumper contract. And when he gets into his late 30s, he's going to go to retire somewhere for a huge amount of money. You know, Stan?
Right. As I was going to continue to finish the Assemble's question that he asked, the second part is Willian. Right. He's saying the difference. Saka's on 30, is on 190 that needs to be addressed. The second part is that Willian's actually on a lot more than 190 grand a week.
10 million signing on.
What they did was they tried to lessen the blow by saying that, oh, he's not getting, they even said he's not getting that much more that he got at Chelsea. It's all good. Or they said he's getting less. But what they tried to cover up is that they paid him a £10 million signing on fee. So if you balance that out, Willian's on £220,000 a week.
But basically, what you need to know is Saka's better. That's all you need to know.
You know what? As long as you're playing your better players, that's all I say. I mean, I've been asking for that for years now. I mean, I don't care who they are, what the seniority is, you know, how much they make, because Arsenal is not in that situation where they should have to pay players just because they make the most money. It makes no sense. Their margins are too small in terms of winning games right now. We need to put our best 11 out there every week and try to do that with whoever we can. You know, they figured out that it's going to take a 19, 20, 22-year-old player, 24 player to get there. I mean, that's where we are, right? They've got 19 for Saka, 20 for Middlesbrough Rowe, and 24 for Kieran Tierney. No team out there is depending on those three players at that age right now. Not a one. I mean, they're part of the team, but they're not leaning on them like we have to. I mean, it's yeah.
Listen, if you're enjoying the podcast, slap a like on it here. If you're new to the channel, you haven't subscribed yet, hit that S button, and yeah, you'll know when we're doing this thing again called podcasting. Big up Gunnar Souls, you're still with us. We're going to go for about 30 more minutes.
Yeah. I'm crying.
Yeah,
I'm crying.
You haven't done the outro yet, so come on. What do you say when it's time for the outro?
The outro's starting. What do I say? I don't know. I say, welcome everyone. The outro starts at minute 1. When we're most likely to concede goals, right, Gary? First minute of the game.
Yeah, or the last 5 minutes of each half. So yeah.
All right, so Gary and Tony have your shock choices picked. We're going to go through the Premier League preview. We'll linger a little bit more on Arsenal versus Leicester City. Stan, first one up is Manchester City at home to West Ham.
Yeah, I think I don't know. West Ham to win 5-0.
Because West Ham are colossal. That's what Charlie did tell me on Sunday. We're colossal, the West Ham fans. They're enjoying life. I keep saying to Charlie, this is where Arsenal should have been 4th, and West Ham should have been 11th. Didn't work out that way. So what you're seeing is there's fine margins in the Premier League. You look at the goal difference of West Ham; it's very, very similar to ours, and the difference is they've won the odd game here and there by 1 goal. We haven't.
Yeah, no, exactly what you said. You know, sometimes, you know, when you have a champion's mentality or a winner's mentality, you have to slug your way through some games. And unfortunately, there's been one too many games where we've gone down by maybe a goal, or we've gone down and we've not fought. Like the City game was a prime example. The beginning of the season was a prime example of a lack of fight, a lack of passion, a lack of direction even. And then the emergence of obviously Smith Rowe, the return of the prodigal son of, you know, Martinelli.
I thought you were going to say Aubameyang.
Oh no! He's not back. He's not back just yet. There's still a few more games. But yeah, he's my brother. I'm gonna back him every day. But
yeah.
You know, it's been unfortunate because the players who we've kind of put our hope in are the ones who have let us down or haven't turned up. So it's about now that we've found this sort of, it is an iffy form. I've always said it's an up and down form, but we just need to start. We need this. This is the perfect time to kick on.
Hmm. Yeah. Gary, in talking to Charlie and people, if you haven't seen the last video with Charlie, what we call it, the state of the game, Gary. But what I found very interesting, Charlie said, is they've picked up leaders. When they went out in the transfer market, they picked up captains from other teams. And I think that's maybe a blueprint or a roadmap that Arsenal could and need to look at. Maybe we got a Tierney, but we haven't got a whole lot of potential leaders in that dressing room.
Definitely. I mean, yes, we definitely need that. And so, yeah, when we go out and looking for players, I know they're going to probably go out and get younger players. But if they're not going to get younger players, then they need to get players that aren't going to be needed to be prodded in terms of I need to get something extra out of you today. They should just know that and just go out and do it. So, yeah, we need leaders. Captains would be nice, but leaders definitely. Players that we see it all the time. We've looked at a lot of teams below us on the table and said, you know what, that player would be a perfect fit for us because they go out there and give their all the time. Like Tyranny on a bad day is still good, right?
Mm-hmm.
On a good day, there's no answer for him. But on a bad day, he's still good, and that's kind of what we want the margins to be that small, where you're giving us 6 and 7s on your bad days, and then we're going, man of the matches when you're playing well. So we definitely need that. I mean,
So who are you taking for West Ham or City?
I would like Charlie to be happy, and I would like City to lose, but I just can't see it. I mean,
Yeah.
they didn't play this week, right? They've been sitting around.
Did they play?
Yeah,
They
they
didn't play
weren't in.
Champions
They
League.
didn't play
Yeah,
Champions.
so they
No, they
didn't play
did
this.
against Borussia or Gladbach. They played
They played
2-0.
Yeah,
Oh, they did play. Yeah, so I mean,
2-0.
I feel like they're just too deep, right? They're just too deep.
Look at
So
that. Look at that second 11. That could do damage in the Premier
yeah,
League all by
exactly. So
itself.
I think they have so much depth that no matter who they put out, you're like, you know what? The team's struggling. We're gonna bring in Aguero and and Kevin De Bruyne into this weekend because you know what? They're finally feeling good about themselves right now. They're feeling a lot healthier. So I can see. Wait, this is a home game for City, right? So
Home game
Yeah,
for
it's not the
City.
empty head.
yeah. So I'm going 2-0 to not 2-0. I'm gonna go 3-1 to City. Yeah.
I actually think City are on that kind of run that something's going to happen. Something's got to
Well,
give
it
sooner or
needed to
later.
happen last week, and it didn't.
I know we softened them up for
Wait,
Charlie.
as I told Charlie when is it Xhaka gave that elbow to Diaz.
Yeah.
Maybe that maybe the defense is a little soft now.
Yeah, I mean, Xhaka leaned over to pick one of the Benfica players up, but then he was like, forget this, and walked off. I was so happy. I was buzzing when he did that. I was like, finally, come on, lad.
That's what we need. That's what we need. Tony, first, what's the Pound's opinion on Luis being offered another contract? I'm not interested in giving David Luiz another contract. So,
I mean, we've got a cannon
again,
on the badge. Can we not put Luiz, Bellerin, Xhaka in that cannon and just away from the club, just as far as away as we can get them?
Yeah, and Matt Maher has offered many times to drive these players anywhere, any place, anytime. To any
Yeah, I've got a
location.
road trip. I'm going to grab Bellerin.
Yeah.
And then I think RJ said on the watch along as well, he's going to grab Arteta just so that Arteta doesn't convince Bellerin to stay. So yeah, we've got a whole plan put in place to get this done.
There's no reason for Arsenal to even talk to them about contracts right now.
No,
they have big decisions to make, and they first of all get me a starting 11. I don't want they have I feel like they have enough with their youth players that are out on loan or sitting in the academy, that they have depth if they need to, or there's players in the championship that they can pull from. So there's no reason to rush to get a Louise. No reason, no.
Gary, we're a stush club. We don't like the championship players. We like the we like the the flary names and
There's lots of good players in the championship. There's lots.
You know,
of
if Max Aarons was called Max Arondino, we might have actually signed him.
Yeah, there's better players out there than what we have.
You know what? He could be on his way to Bayern Munich or whatever. So it's like, you know what? It doesn't. And we're talking about, people were talking about, let's get him in the summer, right? Take some extra cash, get a Max Aaron. No, and now you're like, well, Bayern Munich's interested now, so forget it, it's off. But you know what? So we're always a step slow on these things.
Yeah,
if we went crazy in the last window and bought a couple of those players this summer, maybe we don't pick up anybody. I understand the whole concept of having like 40 players on the roster, but
keep away from Cardiff players, says Brownie.
They spent the money anyway.
Are there actually any good Cardiff players? I'm actually not sure.
They've got an Arsenal player on loan out there. So, Tony, West Ham versus City. Let's keep this moving along. The outro has begun.
Street 3-1.
3-1 to City.
Back.
I'm going to go for the upset there. I think West Ham will do it. They're having a hell of a season.
Is that a draw, or you think they're going to win it outright?
I think they're going to win it outright.
Ray put it in overdrive. He's trying to.
It's not my upset pick because it would only represent 3 points.
Yeah.
So I'm not going for that. Lombard Camp, thanks for joining us, mate. Sabias went full Mustafi mode today. That was a very Mustafi thing to do. Reminded me of the League Cup final there.
Maybe he thought he was standing on the 18 and took a couple of steps forward and was just going to head it back to because that's about the distance that he headed it. Like he was standing on the 18, stepped up, headed it back. The goalie's right there to catch it, and Leno's like, no.
Yeah. Tony, West Brom versus Brighton. Brighton are one of the form teams in the Premier League right now.
Yeah, probably Brighton, but I think it'll be a close game, probably 2-1.
Souls, what do you think of that game? It's the 3 p.m. game on Saturday, West Brom versus Brighton. Is Big Sam?
I'm gonna back the boy, mate, and I also get a goal in this, and I think it's gonna be a 2-1 West Brom.
Have you been impressed by Ainsley Maitland-Niles in a couple of games?
Not at all. Absolutely not one bit. And
Me neither.
And now I'm actually, and he's asking to play midfield, but I mean he is at West Brom, and what can you really expect to happen at West Brom? They're the most negative team. They've got Big Sam as I don't know what you want from them. They're just a terrible team.
You would want to see a little bit more from Ainsley, though, right?
But I mean, the whole team's just negative. Like they just sit back, and I'm guessing he's following instructions. That's the positive I take from it. At least he's listening to the manager. But I mean, they don't do anything productive. There's absolutely nothing that I can say that gives me any sort of like, oh yeah, he is good, or he's not. And I think his naivety in terms of I want to play midfield rather than going to Southampton, for example, which he would have developed into a better player. It's on him, really.
Gary?
Yeah, this one's easy. West Brom will win this one. So there's not much more to say. I mean,
West Brom will beat Brighton?
Yeah, West Brom will beat Brighton. Yeah. Well, is that right?
Well, your prediction.
Nope. Sorry, I had it wrong. Yeah, Brighton will win this one.
Brighton, they're a pretty decent team.
Yeah.
They've had a lot of draws.
No, Brighton will win this one. Sorry, I read that absolutely wrong. Yep.
And so you're taking West Brom to be your upset?
No, I did not say that. You know what? This is an easy week. You should know who my upset pick is.
Brownie's getting splinters sitting on the fence
because we hate him. Because we hate the team that I'm gonna. Yeah. So.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. Maybe. Leeds United versus Villa. Tony. Gary, you go first. Go on.
I want to draw because I don't want either one of them to win.
Yeah. And this is a fixture that Arsenal can possibly leapfrog over one or both of them. So we do want a strategic draw there. You never know what you're going to get from Leeds, Tony.
Maybe Forrest Gump said it best. You know what he said? I think it'll likely be a draw.
I don't know if Stan is still.
You know,
with
I
us.
want a good Leeds in the first half and a good Austin Villa in the second. So it's just wash.
Yeah. Souls, what do you got there? Leeds versus Villa.
I think it's going to be.
Down.
I think this game has got like 9-9-8-8 written all over it. You know, two teams who can't just love to attack. This is going to be a good game to watch. It's either going to be like a very high scoring draw or it's going to be a 0-0. I'm going for a draw.
Aston Villa are really slowing down, so I think Leeds could actually beat them myself. Newcastle versus Wolves. Interesting one. Newcastle are feeling. I'll go with Gary first. Newcastle are feeling Fulham breathing down the neck. Fulham might actually do it. They might actually call themselves out. Pull themselves out of the bottom.
You said Fulham, right? Yeah.
Yeah. Well, no. This is Newcastle versus Wolves. I'm just saying, Fulham are breathing down Newcastle's necks.
No, I think the Wolves will win this one. So. Yeah.
Tony, what do you got?
Same as Gary. I think Wolves win.
I think Newcastle are pretty decent at home, so I'm going to go with Newcastle and Joe Willock to step forward a little bit again.
Newcastle will win this all day because Wolves cannot play against the bottom half of the table. They're brilliant against the top teams, but when it comes to the bottom half of the table or the lesser teams, they seem to struggle, and they've got an Achilles heel against them. So I'm going 2-1 Newcastle.
Yeah, I'm going to go with that. I think Newcastle will upset Wolves as well. They've got goals in them now, I think, Newcastle.
Joe Willock.
And Joe Willock has taken a step forward, so maybe he's with a club that will help him on his loan, whereas Ainsley Maitland-Niles is going to struggle, you know. And I guess the club does its best to try and place the players in the best place possible. Souls, Crystal Palace versus Fulham, first game on Sunday. Same time slot as ours.
4-1 Crystal Palace. I just think Crystal Palace, especially Eze and Zaha, they're just going to rip that Fulham team apart. I mean, Scott Parker's got them playing brilliantly, especially with the signing of Maha, or the coming back of Maha, is giving them a striker which is what they needed all along. Yeah. But I just think Crystal Palace are one of those teams who just seem to find a way to break, especially that Eze. He's direct, and then you got Zaha, and then you got Benteke back in form. So yeah, I'm gonna go 4-1 Crystal Palace on this one.
I actually think a little bit differently. I think totally opposite. I think Scott Parker's got a tune out of Fulham. They're in form. Crystal Palace blow hot and cold. This is the beauty of football, though. You know, we don't know what's going to happen. I think Fulham could probably win that game as well up at Selhurst Park.
I was just about ready to ask you where they're playing at, right?
Tony, what do you think?
I think at Selhurst Park, Crystal Palace gets the win.
And so this is an old sore. We did a quiz and Tony lost.
I didn't.
It was a Selhurst Park anagram. He didn't get it right. So.
I didn't get it right. I had it written down 2 hours before we got to it.
It's the beauty of podcasting. People never forget things, you know, right, Gary?
Yep. I mean, I kind of felt, kind of feel like Crystal Palace will win this one. Yeah, I think I saw somebody say that Zaha is back. So,
yeah. Ray Anderson said Zaha is back, and Brownie's picking all of the draws. But Brownie's going to do a parlay or an accumulator of draws. It'll build up from £1. Yeah, so I actually think Fulham, we're kind of split on that one. I think Fulham will. Let's skip the Leicester Arsenal, leave that to last, okay? We can preview the game as well. So, the Scum versus Burnley.
I can never, ever, ever say Spurs are going to win. So that's going to go 2-0 Burnley.
I'm down with that. I think Burnley will give them problems. Tottenham are sliding, Gary. We could pretty soon. We could jump above them pretty soon.
Yeah, that's my upset pick. So yeah,
You
I
go
think
with
at least
Burnley?
it'll be a draw for Burnley.
I mean, it's not much of an upset here, Spurs.
Yep. Yeah, exactly. So Gary's going with Burnley. Okay. Tony?
And I think with Jose at the helm, the team's under rebellion. It's likely a draw.
Yeah, so do you see the Tottenham team not responding to Mourinho anymore? The slide is happening, the cracks are
I don't think so. I think he's still got them a little bit because of the League Cup final. The performance against in the Europa League says otherwise as well. They absolutely dominated that team. So I wouldn't say he's lost the dressing room yet, because I think after the League Cup final you can potentially say that, and if there is an exit in the Europa League, then you can potentially say that players may turn, because one thing Mourinho promises is trophies or cups or anything really. He does win, and if he can't do that, I mean, he never does it in his third season, so this is the season he does it. If not, he's out.
Yeah. Go ahead and take the Chelsea United game as well. We'll start you off on that one.
I'm a mank, so I'm just going to back him for the sake of being a mank, I guess. I see a 3-1 Chelsea. I mean 3-1 United. Sorry, 3-1 United. Sorry.
I see Chelsea winning. I see Chelsea winning this one. A very functional win for Chelsea. 2-1. This is. I always watch these back. I don't know if Gary or Tony do, but I always watch these back to actually remember what we said, and we've actually done pretty well over the weeks. So Gary, your words are being documented right now.
I mean, I feel like we need Manchester. You want United to get take a loss, so not because I feel like Chelsea's back. I just feel like knock him down a peg or two, but it won't knock him down that much in terms of the table. But yeah.
Or do you want United to beat Chelsea and hold them so that we can possibly, if we get ourselves going forward, we can sort of move up the table a little bit?
Gary, remember it's Manchester United and Bruno Fernandes.
Yeah, I mean that's
don't let that influence you, but just remember that.
I call them Manchester United. I'm always going to banter them. I'm not one of those that wants to take the high road. Be like, well, we're not good enough. I'll always take the opportunity to banter them, because we will get bantered as well.
Yeah, but okay, then a draw. I'm thinking a draw.
Even after Bruno Fernandes and Manchester United.
Yeah, you're almost 1-0 up already, aren't they?
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
Tony,
they'll get a penalty after the game.
I think a draw will be the best result for us, but I'm like you. I think Chelsea somehow ends up winning it.
Yeah, I think Tuchel has got him going well. So Sheffield United, the bottom place team, plays Liverpool, who are on the slide, 20 versus 6. I did ask Sam. Sam was tired; he wasn't able to join us, but this is Sam's pick for the upset of the week.
Oh hell yeah! This is gonna be a big one.
You don't think Liverpool are going to bounce back?
Hell no! They've got no players to bounce back. They've got no defense. They've got no Jordan Henderson. Don't forget he's out for about I don't know how long now. No Van Dijk, no Joe Gomez again. Alisson's lost his father, and obviously I do, condolences to him, and I hope he does get better soon.
Yeah,
so it's not looking good for them, and I know you shouldn't be bashing like a dead horse, but I don't because the amount of players they're going to have, especially big players missing. I just see Sheffield probably nicking this or being a draw, but I'm going to go 1-0 Sheffield.
Wow. Okay. And listen, Stan just said to say goodbye, say his goodbyes for him. So I want to thank Stan for joining us tonight. And Gary, Sheffield United versus Liverpool. This is a different Gary tonight. He's usually
What to say? What's wrong with
usually
you?
knows.
It should be an easy one. I see Liverpool's going
I
to win.
thought Gary, I thought you would come in like all the things we didn't do today against in the Europa game. But you come in happy. I mean, it's great to see it. And
Yeah.
now you're not quite sure about what you're going to pick here. Sheffield
Yeah.
United, Liverpool.
I mean, they're both have the same number of losses coming in. So
Really?
yeah, I mean, four losses in the last 5 for both of them. So
Okay, in recent form, yeah.
yeah. So no, I think
I
Liverpool.
see. I see Liverpool bouncing back. I see
Yeah, Liverpool will win this one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tony.
I think Liverpool gets the win.
Yeah, exactly. Last game. Oh, Everton versus Southampton. This is going to be a good game, Souls. Have a bet with Brownie. He's probably still watching. Gentleman's bet. No money, nothing involved. But Arsenal will finish above Everton. What do you think? Will Everton finish above Arsenal, or what overall?
Their depth is now showing, isn't it? Because they've been on a patchy run of form, should I say, is the best way to say it. And
Yeah,
I think Southampton are gonna probably bounce back on this one, and I think it's gonna be a 1-0 Southampton.
And Gary, I'm going to show the updated score because Gary did pick Southampton last weekend against Chelsea. A good pick, Gary. You got a decent amount of points.
Yes, Gary, is that you?
He's in the lead.
Yeah.
This is Gary quietly confident. This is Gary's quietly confident face.
Yeah, no, we definitely need. I mean, I definitely want to see Everton lose again. I just find it hard to believe they're going to be able to do that. So, yeah, Everton's probably going to win this one, 2-1. So,
Playing at Goodison Park again.
Yeah.
Brownie, I think we're going to get closer to Everton. Don't worry. I'm still confident about our bet with Arsenal finishing above Everton, even with everything that happened this season. Tony, Everton versus Southampton?
I think Southampton and win. It's my upset pick.
It's a good pick. All right. Let's finish out the show here with a quick preview of the Leicester game. Arsenal go to Leicester Souls. I could have picked a lot of teams to pick my upset. Arsenal beating Leicester is an upset, and I'm going to go with that one on Sunday. I just hope that we have a real good confidence booster from today's game, and we carry that into Sunday. It's going to be tough, though. It's going to be a lunchtime kickoff.
Yeah, I think we don't fare well with early kickoffs, which is the only thing that's kind of putting a downer for me. But I do think after today's performance, I think they're going to be on a very much so on the highest of the highs that they've had this season. I think confidence and morale is going to be at all-time high, and I hope that's what we see because Leicester are on the form of their life. I mean, they sat basically joint third. I mean, only because of goal difference, they're third to United. So they're having the season, and in the Premier League, they've been absolutely amazing with big upsets. I mean, they beat City 5-2, which is no feat. So it's going to be tough, but I think what we need to be is organized. We need to be disciplined, and we need to be awake. And we need to be on our game, and we can't have those lapses of moments, which is what we've been seeing. Individual errors need to be cut out in this game, and I think that's when we can go and see a win. And I am going to back the boys, and I am going to say it's probably going to be a 2-1. I don't think we can keep a clean sheet against Leicester. I think they've always got a goal in them, but I think we'll get 2. So I'm going to go 2-1 Arsenal.
It's going to be extremely tough, Gary, to go to Leicester. We haven't beaten them in like 2.5 years. I think it's been. We've beaten them in the cup recently, but it doesn't matter. That didn't matter. This is the league, and we've been hard against Leicester. Leicester are the ultimate consummate bunch of professional players that know how to manage a game, know how to stay in a game, and they know how to get something out of games.
Yeah, we saw that the last time we played him, right? I mean,
Yep.
down their striker, and they
We
were able to hold
talked.
on until he was able to come on and
Yeah,
showed us why he's
we talked about Granit Xhaka dropping into that left back position in the podcast here, and he did that against Leicester, and the ball over the top found them out.
yeah. I mean, I like to think we're gonna be we're better than that team, but they are also better than that team that played in those two games. So I think I mean they did lose, so that's one reason why I'm a little upset that they lost is because they're gonna come into this game with a bit of a chip on their shoulder in the sense
Yeah,
that they did get
yeah.
knocked out. I mean, and they didn't even two nil down. Yeah, that was yeah. So we're gonna probably get a different team, but I think if that's it could go one of two ways, right? Either we're gonna get that team that wants to redeem themselves and maybe goes a little bit too far, and we're able to punish them, or they're gonna come in pretty focused and you know them as a team that's focused will be a challenge for us because I feel like we still have some talent to overcome some of that, but it's going to be tough. It's going to be tough. So on the road, I mean, that shouldn't mean anything. We play okay on the road, so I'm feeling. I mean, I feel like we should be able to get a draw out of this one. So
Yeah, it's going to be extremely tough, Tony. Going to Leicester City against a well-drilled Leicester team.
Yeah, it's a team we've been struggling against lately. I think it's a coin flip if we get a draw or a win. Hopefully, the team's up to play 90 minutes finally and gets the win, but it's kind of hard to say we'll get the win.
Yeah, and I'm just looking at the table. All the teams above us, when you get into the top six, certainly. We've beaten West Ham at the beginning of the season. We've beaten Chelsea at the Christmas period. But this would represent one of the biggest results for us souls to go up against Leicester, and to actually get a result, any kind of result up there would represent a good result for us.
Yeah, 100%. I think we just need to put a perform. We just need to win. I don't care whether it's a 90 minutes of slugginess and then last minute we go get a winner. Whether we get a winner at the beginning, I couldn't care. I just want to win now, and I think that any sort of result that's a win. I think getting all 3 points will boost our season, especially beating Leicester. Let's be honest, like they are third, and the third for a reason because they've got quality players around them. They've got quality. They've got a quality team. And I know this is going to sound like, oh yeah, we're now looking at Leicester being better than us, and I know people are going to say that this is negative.
They are.
But we need to be positive about every result we get. And I know we've kind of got Europa League and all of this, but we need to now kick in the league because they're the only two competitions we're in. And like you said, we don't have midweek games for a while now. I think it's about 2 or 3 weeks, and then we'll have the Europa League again. So we just need to take advantage of that because we're going to have a week's rest every single time, where there's going to be other teams in cup competitions and League Cup and the FA Cup. So it's just taking advantage of everything we can.
And look, not to be too optimistic here, but we did win. Manchester United are second. We did win at Old Trafford. We got a draw, so we've taken 4 points off of them. There's nothing to say that we can't do the same thing at Leicester if we don't, as long as we turn up, and that's the big thing. They are a better team than us right now because they have individuals who fit together into a system, and each of them know their job. Gary, we can't say that about our team, but hopefully the next 13 games, we've got 13 games in the league program to finish out. Hopefully by those 13 games that we start to develop and every member of our team knows his job and develops, and we can gain some wins as we go along.
definitely, yeah. I mean that's the difference in the teams. So for sure, yeah, I agree with what you said.
Tony, anything else? We'll round it up. We'll finish it up here.
Man, I can't really think of anything. Just going back to what Stan said, I think away goal rules is stupid in Europe. Everybody takes a plane. I don't think it should matter where you're playing, home or away. Allows teams to park the bus. I'd rather see free flowing games.
Well, we want to give a shout out to Warren Tony's, who did give a donation to the GoFundMe page. So big up to Warren. Thank you, Warren.
150 pounds today gave me 50 pounds.
Nice one, Warren. So that's great stuff. Listen, Gary, thanks for joining once again, Gary and Tony. Stan, also, thanks for joining, and a big up to Gunnar Souls, of course, making your debut on the channel. Hope you enjoyed yourself.
Oh yeah, sorry, I muted myself. Sorry, yeah, no, thank you very much for having me.
Listen, everybody does that. Everybody's muted themselves and forgotten about it.
I've not done it. This is the first time. You can tell it's getting late for me.
Yeah. Very good stuff here. So, hey, we move. We had a big win today, 3-2. Souls, how do you see that? Do you see it as a massive win, or do you see it as a close shave?
Massive win, because it's fight and passion, and when you win by fighting and not dropping your heads, we had moments in that game where we could have dropped our heads, but we didn't. So I take this as a massive triumph that hopefully, I mean, the only reason it can become a close shave if we don't build from this, but it's a massive win if this kickstarts the season again.
Yeah, I agree. Gary, tonight was a great win. I think it showed the team spirit. I thought we saw it a couple of years ago under Emery when we got all the way to the final. These players can show up when it's a competition like this. And I think the big players tonight dragged us over the line. Aubameyang, Tierney, and the young player called Bukayo Saka.
Yeah, we got all of our stars showed up today, right? They all did. They all contributed, and they pulled us across the line. And that's what we wanted, definitely from Aubameyang. We knew Tierney, when he's out there, gives us that leadership, and Saka has that talent, right? That young spirit. So we got it from our three of the players that we want. We thought we would be depending on somewhat this year. And Saka's shown up a lot more than we thought. So this has been good to see. Can we build on it and see it again? That's going to be the next big question, right? Are we going to see that?
Yeah, we got to build on it going to Leicester. Tony's Razmi here. Ray isn't going to have a leg to stand on after this pod. He promised leg plans. Sunday. Let's do it Sunday. Right. I kind of I didn't feel right about it too much at the beginning, so I didn't know how far I could go. But yeah, listen, let's have fun with it on Sunday. We're going to do a big drive on Sunday for that as well. And Tony, thanks for joining. Let's get out of here. We'll see everyone Sunday. Thanks, Souls. Thanks, Gary. And thanks, Tony. We move forward to the next round. Hopefully we get we'll see what we get tomorrow in the Europa League. Until then, we will talk to you. Thanks, everyone. Take care.